All right, well, this is going to be different for anyone coming in here because all kinds of craziness have been happening backstage of this, and I had to use a different platform, but we're here to talk about James Cameron. The last episode I did, I asked the question, who is the greatest filmmaker of all time? And that can be different than your favorite filmmaker. For me, it's the same person, and that is James Cameron. Let me make sure. Okay, so it is live. Yes. Apologize. There's going to be some things here because just making sure I'm even live here. But in regards to James Cameron, he's someone that is very special to me because of the impact his movies have had on me, in particular, two movies, which I'll get into more detail later. But I'm not even here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about someone named Eddie who started a podcast called JamesCameron101. And anyone who does that, I absolutely need to know them, talk to them, and get inside their head because they're doing exactly what I think needs to be out there in the world, and having something dedicated to James Cameron, because weirdly enough, as successful as he is, as iconic as he is, I still think there's something with him which is, it's different for me to say that, and fans of him and Eddie himself, but I feel like he kind of gets pushed aside as like, oh, he makes that type of movie. He's not Christopher Nolan. He's not often spoken in the same breath of like these auteurs, even though he is an auteur. In fact, I think he's the only mainstream auteur, which I've talked about that, and we'll get into a little bit more of that later. But I'm going to go ahead and bring Eddie right on since this whole thing kind of got messed up. His channel is called Fans of Something, and we're just going to get right into this. So I'm going to bring him on right now.
Boom. What's going on, Mike?
Eddie, welcome, man. Thank you so much for doing this, and I apologize again for getting messed up like it did, but we're here now.
Yeah, dude, we're here now. We're figuring it out. Like I was telling you, I have sympathy and I can understand. I've been in your shoes, dude, and it can kind of ruin the vibe and everything that you had going, leading up to it. So hopefully that hasn't been ruined, and we're gonna keep it going here. I'm excited.
Yes, we're definitely gonna make up for it, and unfortunately, the link, whoever was going to click on that, it's a different link. So hopefully they find this, but if not,
it's on your channel.
Yeah, it'll be there. We'll share it afterwards. So yeah, what I wanted to start out with asking you was, what really made you become, well, first of all, who is your favorite filmmaker? Because it doesn't necessarily even have to be James Cameron.
That would be kind of weird, wouldn't it, if I was doing a James Cameron 101 podcast and I had all this stuff behind me and it turned out it was Michael Bay?
Hey, it can happen. I don't know.
No, it is James Cameron. It's actually my Mount Rushmore. I like asking people their Mount Rushmore. It's Cameron, Kubrick, Jones, and Shyamalan. Spike Jonze. I don't know if you know who that is.
Of course.
Yeah, Spike Jonze and M. Night Shyamalan, who your stream yesterday, I never even heard Shyamalan mentioned.
Because there's too many. That's the problem. There's too many amazing filmmakers out there, and I do love Shyamalan. Probably not as much as you, honestly, but I mean, Signs. I love Signs. Obviously, The Sixth Sense. Split is awesome. That whole little trilogy he made with Unbreakable, which is super underrated.
Funny enough, my favorite one, and I'm dead serious when I say this, is The Happening.
Really?
I swear to God, because it's, for me, I get the whole what he was going for there. So it's like that perfect blend of, I think there's actual really competent, awesome filmmaking in there, and then it also has like Room, Tommy Wiseau vibes going on with Mark Wahlberg and everything. So I love that mix, and I love that it's just like an homage to B movies and whatnot. And I think the premise alone is so bonkers and crazy.
Yeah, and you would think someone as talented as him would mean what he said when he's like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be a B movie, but he also not to get too into this, but I remember there's like kind of controversy on that because when he initially started talking about it, he was like, "It's the scariest movie I've ever made," and then it comes out and he's like, "Oh, it's a B movie. It's supposed." So it is a convenient thing, but you know, who knows? He is a genius, so I don't. It probably was intentional,
Yeah.
and it is an entertaining movie, but that doesn't, you know, it can be entertaining for a lot of different ways.
Although
but-
I will say, and I know we're supposed to talk Cameron here, and we will, but I will say, Trap. That movie, and I love M. Night Shyamalan. I don't know what happened on Trap, dude. I think that was. Did you see Trap?
I did.
Man, that was just. I think what was bothering me was its convenience after convenience after convenience of him getting out of situations, avoiding authorities all the time. It just seemed a little too absurd, and I was so hyped for that. I mean, I liked Knock at the Cabin. I love Old, so something about Trap just didn't work for me. Maybe it's Josh Hartnett I wasn't too into, but
yeah,
couldn't get behind that one.
You would think, as good of a writer as he can be, and generally is, that there just should have. It feels like that could have gone further and been more clever and stuff. And I agree about Josh Hartnett. Like sometimes I feel like, oh, he's good, and then other times like, oh, I don't know about that moment. That was kind of way off base. And is that his doing, or is that Shyamalan? Like, you know, I don't know. You never know with those things. But
anyways, we're here to talk this guy right here,
yeah.
the man.
Yes, but which I just noticed your shirt. That's awesome. I need to get me one of those.
Yeah, this is. I'm pretty sure I would be very upset if I was lied to. This is, I believe, the end of Titanic.
Yeah, the exact stuff.
The exact font. So
it better be. But yeah, to get started, what made you, when it comes to James Cameron, really take notice? Where you're like, this is my guy. What movie did that?
Well, I always credit my dad, who I believe, and mom. I believe they're tuning in, which was why I was kind of trying to figure out if there was a new link or anything. I believe my dad showed me probably Terminator 2 at some point when I was way too young to be watching something like that, and I don't know, just something about it. But I only became a fan of loving James Cameron probably around the time of Terminator Dark Fate coming out, because that's when I started a podcast that is no longer available, but it was for a while. It was called Terminator 101. So I've just kind of carried over the 101 thing. And I did 50 episodes of that, and was really kind of covering Dark Fate as it was getting ready to launch into the world. And we can talk about what we thought about Dark Fate, but it was a very exciting time. And so I think I noticed there was really no Terminator podcasts that were out there. So I started it. And then I continued it on with James Cameron 101. I think and I've said it before, he's like, if you go into a bookstore and open a book of the greatest filmmakers of all time, 8 times out of 10, I'll be generous, 8 times out of 10, he's not in there for some reason. And I don't know if it's because he doesn't have that many movies, so people just feel like you can't talk about him that much, and I'm attempting to disprove that, or if he's like just this big populist entertainer, but then Spielberg's in there and he's the most populist entertainer of all time. So it's, I don't know. It boggles my mind.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I was touching on. There's this like air about him where it's like he's not in that picture for some reason, and it doesn't make sense because it's the simple fact of this. And of course, money doesn't mean everything, but no other filmmaker has 4 consecutive billion-dollar movies, 2 of which were the highest grossing of all time. He beat his own record, and 1 is still to this day the highest grossing of all time. Like, does that mean nothing? I don't understand. I guess that's why I'm saying like this, and this is like a tangent on Avatar, but people devalue Avatar for a number of reasons, which we can maybe touch on a little bit later. But 3 of those movies are Avatar movies, so I feel like that. And then Titanic, again, another tangent could go on there. I think Titanic is more than a lot of people see it as, of just like this kind of spectacle love story. It's a lot deeper than that, so they devalue that movie. Like, like it's not top tier art or something like that.
Yeah, man. I don't know, but hopefully, I mean, I have a feeling that time will heal this particular wound, and eventually he'll get the credit he deserves. And I think there's maybe something that's kind of oddly, for lack of a better word, romantic about the fact that he is not included in stuff like that. So like it kind of makes me feel like, what I'm doing with the podcast or meeting someone like you who also loves him, it, it, even though it's an underground club kind of thing, like in a weird kind of sense of that particular word. It's
An
because
underground club for the most successful movies of all time.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like because there's no way he can go into a supermarket and not be noticed, but like he just doesn't get that credit that he deserves. And I think it might be maybe his reputation that he was known for, specifically in the earlier years of his career. Maybe that kind of ruined it, tarnished it. Maybe he burned bridges that we don't know about. Dude, I don't know, man. But it's something I'm very passionate about, is spreading the awareness of it and celebrating him and going to freaking Billie Eilish concert movies that I never thought I would go see. So
You actually saw that in theater?
day one, yeah, and literally because of Cameron, and he's not even really in the thing, and the trailer made it seem like he was going to be in it. So I was just sitting there listening to Billie Eilish music for 2 hours.
Yeah, I have it, but I haven't watched it yet. I kind of skimmed through it just because I was curious before setting the time to watch it. Like, what exactly is this? And it literally is mostly her concert.
Yeah.
Um, but of course, I'm going to watch it. Which, speaking of that and Piranha are the only movies I haven't watched, and I'm saving Piranha. I plan on doing something with that at some point.
Oh, cool.
But yeah. So Terminator 2, that's
Yeah.
what got you.
I would think, yeah, that's definitely my earliest recollection of noticing directed by James Cameron at the end of a movie, or at the beginning, because that's at the beginning. But and then obviously it would be Terminator. I'm sure at some point I was wondering about it all and maybe asked my dad like, hey, what is there other ones? And then he probably showed me Terminator. This is all me guessing, by the way. I don't really have a great memory. People that can remember when they were 3 and 4, I'm totally blown away by. But I'm just guessing it's Terminator 2. So
Yeah, well, that's a good one, and I would say, me growing up, I noticed movies. It took me a while to really connect the dots on certain things. Weirdly enough, I've always loved movies, but to really like understand, piece everything together, tie filmmakers to and actors to certain things, it took me a while to really like seal the deal on that. For some reason, I was more connected to the movie, separate from anything else. So I was always attached to the Terminator movies. Although I saw T2 first, and I saw Aliens first, and then I saw the originals. But I would say the first thing that really piqued my interest was Aliens as a kid, and then that inspired so many video games that I also loved, like StarCraft and stuff like that. I remember reenacting stuff as a kid just from that movie, like with a little handy cam and the neighborhood kids, whatever, just acting like we're the Marines and stuff like that. But I'd say the most mature realization for me, and obviously Titanic, but the most mature realization for me, where I was like, oh, James Cameron is it, was Avatar when I saw that, because it's the only movie that I went back. I think I've seen it like 6 times in theaters, because every time I saw it originally, like within that first couple months, like 3 times. Then they did those re-releases, like the special edition, the extended, whatever. So I saw it like 6 times, and it's the only movie I've ever done that. And to that day, that's really what kicked me into gear of like, getting more into this stuff and wanting to pursue filming, making myself, and all this stuff. So for me, it was Avatar.
oh yeah, that's cool, dude.
And yeah, and there's a whole thing with that. But now that we established that, what made you take it a step further and want to do an actual, like, obviously you started with the Terminator podcast, but what made you want to, I guess that actually ties into what made you want to do the Terminator one, which leads you into the James Cameron one.
Yeah, it was just really I've always loved, so I growing up and doing high school, I thought I wanted to be an actor. And so I did all the plays. I played Atticus in To Kill a Mockingbird, The Scarecrow, and The Wizard of Oz. And at one point, I thought I was going to pursue acting, and then that just kind of fell off, and I lost interest in not really wanting to be on a stage, or I admire actors and what the craft is, but I just didn't really see myself doing that. And then I kind of transitioned, and I found myself loving performing magic, like David Blaine stuff. Like I went through a whole phase of trying to, oh, maybe I'll be a magician. And then you kind of really quickly realized, no, that's probably not going to happen either. That's a really, I mean, you think acting is hard to get into. Good luck trying to be a professional magician.
Yeah.
But really it all ties into, and this is something I've told my folks, podcasting is, I think, the next obvious step of, okay, I don't want to be an actor, but I do love putting stuff out there. I love creating content. I love having a microphone in front of my face. I love talking, all this stuff, and actors have egos. So I guess I, in one way, shape, or form, have an ego. So the podcasting thing just kind of made sense to me. And like I said, Terminator Dark Fate was coming up. I did a quick search. There wasn't really many Terminator podcasts that were active and continuing. They died off, kind of thing. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna check it out. The funny thing was, I didn't have this whole setup. I just used my phone when I recorded that podcast. So that's why recently I decided to delete the whole thing, because the audio, dude, sounded like a phone call on every episode. That's how bad it sounded. And I was like, I can't have that out there, like my name attached to that anymore. So, but it culminated in me getting Michael Biehn on for my 50th episode. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not talking to Linda. I'm not talking to Arnold. I'm not talking to James Cameron, Gail Ann Hurd. So I peaked.
Yeah.
And so I ended the show. I was like, that's it. 50 episodes. I like that. Nice 50. And then a few years went by. We created the Fans of Something YouTube channel, me and my girlfriend, Haley. And we were having fun with that, doing our live shows. And we still do those to this day. But I still had that itch, that like to have my own thing, because we were doing this thing now together, but I wanted my own thing. And then I was like, hey, Terminator 101, let's just now, because I still love talking about Terminator, but I want to talk about everything else in his canon, even the stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think about, like T2 3D. Like, I want to talk about this. And so James Cameron 101 just seemed like that next natural evolution. A lot of people from the films are still alive, thankfully. And yeah, it's just, I've been reaching out to guests, and then that guest reaches out to a guest for me and says, hey, I had a really fun time on this James Cameron thing. Go check it out. And then that's how that kind of culminated in Ed Harris and, again, Michael Biehn, because he knew we had history a little bit, coming on and doing the 100th episode. And so now I don't know where the end of this podcast is. I think I talked a little bit about that on the live episode that you joined. I don't know where the end of this particular endeavor is. I'd like to think as long as Cameron's alive, I'll do stuff. But definitely taking a little bit of a slower approach now that I've passed 100 episodes. I think I've earned kind of just slowing down and taking my time. So
yeah, that episode count alone, not even including the Terminator, like it's an incredible breadth of work dedicated to one subject that does branch out, but which, speaking of that reunion with the Abyss, that was incredible. Just as like a fan of not just the movie but James Cameron, all those actors, like I really enjoy. I remember when during COVID there was Together Apart. Did you ever watch any of those with God, what is that guy's name? He plays Olaf in Frozen. Josh something.
Okay, I know who you're talking about, but I don't know what
He
the series is.
he started this thing during the COVID time where he was doing these reunions through Zoom with a bunch of different movies. The Goonies was one, Lord of the Rings, and he did a couple other ones. But that kind of stuff is really cool, and I don't think it's done nearly as much as people want, which is part of the reason why I think, and especially on movies like The Abyss, that movie was known as like, it's not really talked about that much. Ed Harris doesn't really talk about it. Uh, um, the lead actress who's Mary, what is her full name?
Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, I believe.
Antonio. Yeah, it's kind of a tongue twister, especially if it's not in the forefront. But yeah, she doesn't ever talk about it. It's just to be able to do that and to put that out there for people to enjoy. It's an incredible feat on its own, and literally, thank you for making that possible, because that was awesome. And which you might as well lead into that. What was I know you got into it on your show, but what kind of led to that?
Well, I appreciate it, you saying that, because dude, as I sat here, that was recorded March. I want to make sure I get it right here. I made sure I wrote down the exact date. That was recorded March 2nd of this year, which was really cool because I think that March was the month of the Oscars this year, I believe, right? March? I think so. So that was just a couple weeks before his wife won Best Supporting Actress for Weapons. And it was really cool seeing him at the Oscars, sitting next to her and everything. And I was like that was the first time I had seen him since. Mm-hmm. And so as I was watching the Oscars, and I was like, that's the guy who was on my pod. What world am I living in where that's the guy who was on my show, and now he's at the Oscar ceremony and his wife just won Best Supporting Actress? Like, this is like nuts. But that aside, March 2nd, it was recorded. I was beside myself. My jaw was dropped the whole time, which I'm actually this will be an episode I record pretty soon. Because I haven't looked at these comments on this particular episode. I've kind of been living in this bliss of the episode's doing really good, and I'm very happy about that. And there's a lot of comments, so I'm probably going to go through all the comments and react to them. Mm-hmm. But I do get the notifications on them, and some of them are commenting on, like, the host just sat there and didn't, barely said anything. And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, first of all, what do you want me to say? I'm not Joe Rogan. I'm just a guy who loves movies, and I decided to do a podcast. And now Ed Harris, who very famously does not talk about the movie that much, is sitting on the screen of my podcast talking about the movie. What do you want me to say? And this is why I had a co-host, the guy who helped me arrange the whole thing, Philip. Without him, I don't know that episode would have been 20 minutes long, because they would have talked for a bunch, and then I would have just been in a total gaze of, oh my God, I can't even believe this is happening. So, and I just wanted them to, because they had not seen each other in so many years. I just wanted them to have this opportunity to talk to each other. I have no connection to the movie, so why am I going to talk? So I just find it funny that people are like, the host just sat there. Maybe if I get a second chance, I'll talk more, but I have a feeling Ed Harris is probably not going to come back on my show. So, yeah, dude, and I'm not even, because I know it's doing very, very well, and I'm totally aware it's because, thankfully, Michael Bean, he has a podcast. It's called Just Foolin' About. His son, Kalen, runs the podcast. And after I recorded the episode, I reached out to Jennifer, which is Michael's wife. She put me in touch with Kalen. And I said, hey, look, I would love to collaborate with you on YouTube. I think this is something that Michael's fans would love to see. And Michael has talked about this on his show. He talked about the reunion. Can we collaborate? So I'm totally aware that had that not happened, I don't know that the episode would have been that successful. And I don't know that we would be having this conversation, because it's my understanding you found the show through that episode. So I'm very thankful that they wanted to collaborate, that they accepted it, and that it's sitting on Michael's YouTube channel. I love that that is a thing, because it really has helped push the show and fans of something to a much bigger audience. And so I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, and I actually think when I saw it was actually or it wasn't live, right? It was, you said it was pre-recorded.
That was a pre-recorded one, yeah.
Okay, when I first came across it, Michael Bean's podcast wasn't collabed on it, so I would have, at least in my case, it just came across my feed. But I do subscribe to his podcast, so eventually, like no matter what, I would have seen it because I obviously Michael Bean talked to James Cameron recently,
Yeah.
and but in general, I follow his stuff because aside from what he's done with Cameron, he's just so many great pieces of work. Even when like the little roles he's played in like The Rock, the Michael Bay movie, Tombstone's my favorite Western, and he obviously is Johnny Ringo. So aside from Cameron, he's just an incredible actor, and I've always been a fan of his work because not to get too much into that too, but he's someone I feel like there could have been more there, and that's kind of, I wish I would see more of him.
Oh, with Michael. Yeah, and I would love to, because that him and Arnold Schwarzenegger are filming a movie right now, which is really cool, and it's a reunion that I knew I wanted in my fandom, but I didn't know I actually needed it. And now that I know it's a thing, I'm like, that's so cool. The fact that they're like filming a new movie together and hopefully they'll be on screen together. That would be really cool. And then it got my wheels turning and I'm like, man, because he was supposed to, at one point, I'm pretty sure he was in consideration, no matter how tiny of a time it was, to play Quaritch in Avatar. Mm-hmm. And then I think the story goes that he didn't want to confuse audiences with having two people from Aliens be in Avatar as well. So that's why he didn't get the role. And Stephen Lang is phenomenal, so I wouldn't want to replace him. But I would love to see Bean, and I'm pretty sure that's partly why, he wanted to reconnect with Cameron on the show. It probably happened off screen, but he might have been like, "Hey, dude, please, next movie you got." Like, I'm still acting. I would love to be in your next movie, and hopefully it happens. And hopefully it's Ghost of Hiroshima. That's my hope. That's the next Cameron film I want. He bought the rights to the book, and I can totally see Michael Bean playing a character in there somewhere, whether it's a small role. Because I don't know if you've read that book, but I think it'll be very much a Japanese kind of viewpoint of the whole thing. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of American stuff happening in there, but maybe Michael can be one of the guys dropping the bomb. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know I really hope he does get to make that movie also, or just anything that's not Avatar, as much as I love that franchise. But from what I believe, which I don't know too much about it, it does follow the story of a Japanese guy who survived both bombings.
Yes.
Like after the bomb went off, he went to the other city, and the same thing happened. So it would be from his perspective. But yeah, it's been so long, which is a valid thing that people bring up. Like, you spent so long on the Avatar. It has. It's been so long, and it's like, what would a non-Avatar movie even look like?
Right.
Especially with everything he's experienced with Avatar, using performance capture, which he obviously really loves, and I don't know. I don't know. What would that look like? Would it be grounded, or would it be some visual spectacle with the nuclear thing going on? I don't know.
And does it have to be in 3D? Because I feel like he's just 100% adamant. It'll be in 3D. Yeah. I was fortunate enough to talk to, because I really want to. This is something the podcast is really, I think, useful for. I'm not even strictly staying on Cameron's directing stuff. I love talking about stuff that he executive produced. So I reached out to the filmmaker of a movie called Sanctum, which I think is like 2011, 2010, somewhere in there. just this underwater kind of thing, very much like The Abyss.
Yeah.
And so he came on and he told me that one of his stories he was telling, which I thought was cool, was something to the effect of he was not sure if this movie was even supposed to be in 3D in the first place. He thought maybe we shouldn't shoot this in 3D. And one of the notes he got back from Cameron was no 3D, no movie. So I think to tie it all in, I think Cameron is literally stuck in 3D world. And I don't know how you feel about 3D. We'll talk about it. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I think it's still very much just a gimmick. I don't see the value in 3D. It doesn't really do much for me. So
it depends on the movie. I think in general that is probably true, but a movie like, his Pride and Joy of 25, who knows how many years, the Avatar franchise, I've seen it, except Fire and Ash. I didn't see that in 3D, but I've seen the other two in theaters, regular and 3D, and I thought the 3D version of both of them was better.
Okay. Because
that franchise is so much about the experience of just being engulfed in that world, and 3D does help with that. But it's not like I'd still enjoy it just as much without it. But having seen both, yeah, I would watch the 3D. And when 3D TVs were a thing, that's when Avatar came out. That they used that movie to like prop that up. I really liked those 3D TVs, and they just disappeared after a couple of years.
Yeah. Yep. And now, fortunately, one of my biggest issues was these are not just for style. These are my prescription glasses. And so I would always have to wear glasses over glasses if I wanted to actually enjoy the movie, see the movie in clear eye vision. And so that always bothered me. Now there's a thing, and I guess it's been around for a little bit, but they just reintroduced it. They're clip-on 3D lenses. So you can wear your prescription glasses, and then it's just a thing that clips onto your pair of glasses, and you don't have to wear glasses over glasses. So maybe that'll kind of shift me a little bit towards 3D. But I think overall, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't make me love the movie anymore, because I've also seen Avatar in both formats, and I just love the story. So the fact that it looks like there's a little bit more of a depth perception, it doesn't really add much to me. But if he wants to stay in 3D world, by all means, go ahead. I would love to see a bomb explode in 3D and see what that looks like. I'm actually coming up here. They're about to put Terminator 2 back in the theaters for the 35th anniversary. And we got our tickets to 4DX. Have you ever done 4DX?
I really want to. When is that coming out, you said?
I think it comes out on Judgment Day, August 29th.
Every time they put out one of these re-releases, like the Titanic one that came on 3D, I miss that. I always miss them, because I'm just not able to do it, and I really want to go see that one because that would be epic.
Yeah, dude. So we got our tickets for that in 4DX. So I'm just wondering how that's gonna work, where the seats move and they're blowing water on your face and everything. I'm curious how that's gonna work for that movie, but we'll see.
Yeah. The funny thing about that is every single Cameron movie has water could come on your face, because every movie he's ever done has water in it in some form.
True. Yeah.
Even if it's he just loves water. I don't know.
He loves water, and I love water because of him. And I have this weird fixation on movies that have giant waves of water. So we were talking about Letterboxd yesterday. Mm-hmm. I have a list on my Letterboxd of movies that I see that have giant waves of water, and I log it in there so I can always remember. So whether it's a tsunami wave, or whether it's in Titanic, my favorite action scene of all time, where they rescue the little boy and then the father comes and pushes Jack away and the door opens and all that water comes rushing in. There's just, I don't know what it is, why I love it that much, but stuff like that, just I have a weird OCD fixation on that stuff. So Cameron movies have a lot of that.
It's because it's just cool as shit. That's why.
It's just cool as shit, knowing that they just open doors and let water flood in on these stunt performers.
That's what I thought. Every time I see that, in The Way of Water and Fire and Ash, there's scenes that technically could just not be in the movie, of just water coming into rooms and guys going
Oh yeah.
because he's just that's his thing.
Yeah, there's that whole thing at the end of Way of Water with Natiri and I forget which kid she's with. It might be Kiri. And they're like, remember, like the ship is like turning over, capsizing or whatever, and they're like trying to get away from the water that's coming up. Oh my God, like like stuff like that. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, that movie that a couple of years ago, that had a giant wave of water that threatened all the characters. It just gets my excitement levels up, and I know that that one's probably CGI. So that's why I think Titanic is still my favorite, knowing that that's actually just, all right, ready, 3, 2, 1, action. Open the water, open the floodgates.
Yeah, and let's not forget the famous cut scene in The Abyss, the cut ending, gigantic wall of water.
Yep. And the scene with him stopping the door with the ring on his hand.
Which I love that moment. Which good you just brought that up. Even that little thing, like he wrote it obviously, but like that's a moment like that's so specific and like brilliant.
Yeah.
And I love that was in there. Like that's just an example of, I don't know, being James Cameron, I guess, to think to do that. And it's such, there's a lot of like thematic weight to that also with the dynamic of those characters in that movie.
Right. Yeah. It's awesome, man. I love it. And that's why this next movie, I just want him to get back into as much as he can practical filmmaking.
Yeah.
In camera, no performance capture, just old school, stuff. Like that's what I want to see. As much as Avatar's fun and I love reading about how they made it and everything, I think now that he's 72 this year, I think, all right, let's be a little realistic here. And you have maybe 25, if you're lucky, years left making movies. So let's kind of really zero in here and get out of Avatar world for a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if he took a break and made another movie and then went back to it. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, sure. Because look, I know there's a lot of fans. Like one of my friends, thanks to this, is Jeff, and he loves Avatar. He lives and breathes Avatar, and he just posted a video about how he's heartbroken about how there's a potential that there might not be movies that come after Fire and Ash. And I don't have that same feeling. Like if 4 and 5 don't happen, I would sleep just fine. I know there's people like Jeff who would it might disrupt his sleep schedule for a week or so. And so
I equally want him to make another movie and to finish the franchise because he spent so much of his life doing it, pioneering the technology to do that. Just like it's not done. The way it ended in Fire and Ash, it's not over. Like
it's not over. Yeah.
Just you did this thing, you dedicated the time, just freaking finish it. Like he's probably over it at this point, honestly, and he's just like, but you got to finish it, man. I would love though if he grounded the rest of the franchise, like because as much as I love it, Fire and Ash has a lot of just battles and going back and forth. Kids get kidnapped multiple times. There's multiple trades, which I get it, but there's a lot of that. And to just have Avatar 4, it's even more of this, like, just ground it. Like, I think you could tell a really great story that's just less battles and more grounded in that world. And I would love to see that, whether that's 4 or 5.
But now, if it turns out to be what the backup option is, and it's a novel form, would you accept that? Would you be okay with that? Would you read the novel? No,
I probably would read it and cry. He's got to finish it. He's got even if he's like, all right, I'm just gonna make one more. I'll combine 4 and 5. Do that. Like, just finish it.
Or what if he passes it on to like Robert Rodriguez or someone?
I don't want to see anyone else make it. If that's the case, don't do it. Like, I don't want to see that where it's like, okay, it's your franchise now. That's just gonna be horrible. It's gonna be what everyone says Avatar is now, but like actually be true. Like where it's just nothing and just spectacle. And although he did say, he's mentioned it multiple times, but like when he was talking about script notes, I don't know, I'm sure you've heard that, where he said the first sequel had like 3 or 5 pages of notes, then the next sequel 1 page, and then the finale, which technically Way of Water and Fire and Ash is one film, they just split it. So Avatar 4, 5, whatever, had 0 notes. So just that, like, oh, 0, like, what is that? What did the studio love so much they had 0 notes to tell them?
Right.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I also would feel weird that it's like, okay, 4 is now being directed by a new person. But if it was someone like Robert Rodriguez, and I'm not even a big Robert Rodriguez fan, but just knowing that they have history, like I would want someone that he's worked with, that's had like that he helped produce a movie for, kind of thing. Like maybe even Steven Soderbergh, who did Solaris, and him and John Landau produced that movie, which I actually really love that one. But maybe Robert Rodriguez would be a little better suited for Avatar, the whole connection of Alita. But yeah, we'll see, man. I kind of don't like that we're just in this limbo right now, of not knowing, and it's 100% earned. Cameron can take his vacation now and do whatever the hell he has to do to just kind of revamp himself. But I kind of don't like that we don't really know. We're in this weird, what the hell's going to happen right now. I feel like if this was Christopher Nolan 101, I feel like, okay, the Odyssey just came out, and I'm pretty sure I read something. He's like, all right, you're gonna have to wait another 3 years for my next movie. But at least, okay, 3 years. Okay, good. All right, perfect, sweet. We have a point of focus here. We don't really have a point of focus with Cameron right now. This Billie Eilish was a nice distraction, but that came and went. So now I'm just like, I need something. I need something. Give me something to talk about here. And all I have to talk about is people dying and passing away. Freaking William Wisher, who co-wrote T2, just died. So
it's an unfortunate reality. It's just going to keep happening.
Yeah.
Which hopefully doesn't happen to Cameron himself. He seems like a very stout, healthy guy, but who knows? You never know. That literally, if that were to happen, something, not to speak it into the air, but I don't even know what I would do with myself knowing that.
Yeah. Unless it's like a freak accident, he'll be alive for a while. But like, you know, I'm 100% real here. There's like, I think about, what if I open my phone the way I just opened my phone, right? Normal. And the first thing that pops up is James Cameron, 1940, whatever, 1950, whatever it is, 2026. Dude, I don't know. I don't know what I would do.
I think for the first time, and maybe ever, I'd be one of those people at the public memorials just holding a candle, like talking to the news. You guys don't get it, man. Just whatever. I don't even know. Just bawling.
Yeah. Yep. It would be up there with like the Robin Williams and the Michael Jackson and Bob Saget. When Bob Saget passed away, I don't know how that made you feel, but man, I loved Bob Saget. I love Full House. That kind of destroyed me. And we had seen him 2 days prior doing his stand-up.
Oh, wow.
So I saw him less than 48 hours before he died. And that was weird. I remember where I was. It'll be one of those things where you remember where you are. When you get the announcement that James Cameron has passed away, you're never going to forget where you are.
Yeah, well, unfortunately.
All right, we're not talking about it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to get in a tangent, but Robin Williams, out of that list you mentioned, Robin Williams is probably the hardest one for me, just because, I don't know, I love that guy. Anytime I see a movie with him in it, he had just this special, obviously he's hilarious, but he had like a special charm that only he has. Right. Even Jumanji, like that tends to be on around me often, and I just watch it and like, man, that movie, he killed that role, but it's like that innocence or whatever that charm is, he had that, plus he was funny in that movie. That movie's underrated, I think.
Jumanji.
And it's tarnished by the new ones, which are horrible, but whatever.
Yeah, and really we all feel that way about the Robin Williams one because of how it happened, how it ended. That's why I think it's like this weird dichotomy of your screen persona was one thing. Yeah, you did the dark stuff as well. 1 Hour Photo, phenomenal. Insomnia, phenomenal. But for the most part, we all remember you as, why, hello! And then you end your life the way you end your life. I think that's why it's so sad and why it hits people. And I think if you were to poll people, saddest celebrity death, I think Robin Williams is going to be number one.
Yeah, someone that made so many people happy just by just being himself. Really,
Yeah.
he's just hysterical without even trying. It's unfortunate reality. A lot of the people like that are just really depressed. Actually, it's literally the opposite of what you would think.
Well, he was going to like deteriorate, right? He
Yeah,
had like,
he had a condition.
Yeah.
But aside from that, he had problems
Yeah.
before that. But that definitely made it worse when someone who already has a tendency to get depressed to like, also you have this terrible medical condition, like, yeah.
And again, not to go side tangent, we will come back here, but Bob Saget's hits me the hardest because I saw him less than 48 hours and because he should still be here. Like, you hit your head on a, like, what? And the fact that there's like no footage, the fact that it happened in a hotel room, it feels very conspiracy theory if you want to go that route. And it's just like you hit your head and you go to sleep and you die. Like, what world are we living in where this happens?
Yeah, it's insane.
He would
there's
still
no
be
good
here.
way. Yeah, there's no good way to die. But when you hear stuff like that, it's just like, wow, are you like, what? You don't even know. There's no words to describe it. Like, what the hell is that?
At least Robin Williams knew what he was about to do. So he had the chance to do his goodbyes if he had wanted to. Bob didn't even get a chance to do that. He just went to sleep and died. Like, come on, man. That's sad, dude. That's really sad. And he was this ball of light, you know, he was the raunchy comedian, but he also is Danny Tanner for life. So, like, come on, dude. And did you see the special they did on Netflix?
No.
It was called Dirty Daddy. They had Jim Carrey and everybody. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so sad. You'll definitely cry if he meant something to you, like if Full House meant something to you.
Well, that's a show I never really watched.
Really?
But, I did like him. I mean, sometimes like it would be on and I just watch, but I wasn't like, oh, Full House is on, I got to go watch it. You know? I honestly knew him more of. I knew he was like that good kind of dad actor with like that twinkle in his eye, but also like, you know, he turned into kind of a joke with Bob Saget. You know, what was that where they would do that? Was that Family Guy or something? There was some show where they would.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He kind of turned into a joke. And then there's that little cameo he played where
Half Baked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You ever? You know.
Yeah.
SD for Coke. Just the perfect guy to use for that because that's why it's so funny. But anyway, talking about Bob Saget here. Back to James Cameron.
That is my fault. I will take blame for that one.
Well, the James Cameron 101 podcast, you've had, aside from that Abyss reunion and Michael Biehn, you've had a bunch of other guests on there, all in some way, shape, or form related to James Cameron, whether something, one of his films, or producing, or whatever, all the above. How has that changed, kind of, or has it changed how you feel about James Cameron and his movies, and talking to these guests?
Yeah, I think the big takeaway, and maybe I knew it in the back of my mind, but just hearing over and over and over and over again, there's no way they're all in cahoots, that he is not what the mass media will, you know, whatever you want to do your clickbait articles on, you know, James Cameron is a douche. He's not that. He is just someone who is passionate. He's dedicated. I always hear he can do your job, so be careful because he will kick you out. So he just can't act. So the actors are kind of secure, but everyone else is, you know, make sure you know what you're doing because he can do your job as good or better. I always hear that. But just the fact that he's not this tyrannical douchebag that everyone loved to say he was. Yeah, he might have been that way, and he's talked about it. I think he's mellowed out now, and maybe it's the vegetarian diet, but who knows? So I think that's the big takeaway for me. And then it's just hearing the cool stories, and there's no way I remember them all. So that's why I'm thankful they're recorded and they're on the internet until I decide to delete the podcast, which probably will never happen. I'm very proud of this one. So it'll probably be out there until the world explodes or AI takes over and destroys Spotify and YouTube.
Yes, as you should be. And in regards to, I'm sure in the beginning it was reaching out in whatever form that was, but did people in that sphere at all become aware of the podcast and just kind of like there wasn't like, oh, what is it you're doing? Like they were kind of like, oh yeah, James Cameron 101. I've seen a little thing or so and so told me about it, and they're kind of wanting to do it without you mentioning it.
Um, Funny enough, that actually happened on the other one, Terminator 101. Jeff Dawn, who's he's the Academy Award-winning makeup artist on T2. Him and Stan Winston won the Oscars, and he reached out to me through Facebook, and he was like, "I found your show. I love what you're doing. I would love to come on if you'd love to have me on." And that's turned into he's probably the person I've collaborated with the most in terms of episodes. A really fun friendship. He lives in Oregon. I live in Washington. So we're actually planning on at some point meeting halfway and meeting up because I've never met him in person. I've only ever done stuff like this.
Yeah.
In terms of James Cameron 101, no one, I mean, I don't want to lie to you. I've never reached out to someone and they're like, oh, I know who you are. No one's ever said that.
Well, now you have a prime piece of, reference, and if it wasn't good enough already, the Abyss reunion.
Right. Yeah. Thankfully.
Which, not to interrupt you too much, but I think you should try to do that more with the films, in whatever capacity you can do that with James Cameron's films. I think you can.
Yeah. So if you think about, right, so what, 3 out of his 9 or 10, depending if you throw Piranha in there, 3 of them are, so if I was going to do the Abyss, but for the other one, so 3 of them are Arnold Schwarzenegger is the main guy. I mean, look, I have high expectations, but that's one I'm not holding my breath on. I would love to get Arnold on. If he said, yeah, I'll do it. Come on, dude. Jamie Lee Curtis. Linda Hamilton doesn't really even have social media. So again, I got really lucky with The Abyss because of that contact with Philip, who was a very small role on The Abyss, but still somehow he maintained all this contact with everybody that was there. Mm-hmm. And he just reached out on my behalf. So I don't know who else I would, and Avatar's out of the picture. I think maybe just because they're still active films, like they're still actively making them.
Yeah.
So I don't know who I could do it for. Titanic, Leonardo DiCaprio. There's no way.
He doesn't even want to talk about. He's another Ed Harris. He doesn't talk about Titanic.
Yeah, that always upsets me every time they do a re-release on it. You always get the Cameron interviews, you get the Winslet interviews. Where the frig is the DiCaprio interview, man? Talk about it, dude. Without Titanic, I don't know you're where you are right now.
Yeah, he's another one of those, which doesn't make sense because, Cameron has talked about it where he wasn't interested in that role at first, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, I get it. You're not ready for this. You don't realize how hard it is to be kind of the straight man character or whatever." And that's kind of what kicked him in a gear to actually I do want to do this. He's good in it. It's not like it's a bad performance. It's a great movie too.
I think it's phenomenal. I think it's a phenomenal performance. I think it's easy to kind of just say it was, pretty.
I think it's the teenage heartthrob part. He's never liked or wanted that, and that's kind of that was like the most heartthrob I think he ever was because of the popularity of that movie. So that's probably why he's like, just get me away from that.
Which I get when I watched that movie. I get why it turned into that.
Yeah.
But there's no way that was. I don't think that was like, all right, I'm gonna frame you. I'm gonna write you. We're gonna do scenes that portray you in a teen heartthrob way. Like that's what we're gonna aim at here. I don't think that was the target they were aiming at. That's just what it turned into afterwards. So when I watch Titanic, I don't, think, okay, this is why he took this role. I think he took the role because it was an interesting period piece. Like one of the greatest disasters of all time. I think that's why he took the role, and then people turned it into Leo mania because he's just good looking. Well, he has no control over that. He's just good looking. But man, I would love a new interview with Leo, because I think there was an interview. I think it was for one of the Tarantino movies. It's like Famous or something, and like they bring up the door, which it's not even a door, but it's like a piece of the paneling of the ship. And Leo's like,
Yeah. He just does the bare minimum, like just acknowledging, oh yeah, that's the thing. Okay, ask me a question about the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or whatever.
right, yeah. But next
Um,
year's 30, dude. Next year's the 30th anniversary. So come on, Leo. Come on.
yeah,
Talk
man,
about it a little bit.
I wouldn't hold our breath for that, but that would be nice. But yeah,
And then Piranha to do a cast reunion on Piranha. One, who the hell cares? Two, I think a lot of them are
that's
dead.
why you do it, because people are like, what, that's a thing.
I think a lot of them are dead or near dead. I know Lance Henriksen's in there, and that guy's looking rough.
Yeah, you can do a reunion and just have one guy show up, one person.
But so like for Terminator, I did like a Terminator reunion roundtable, but it was like it was a lot of the stunt players, it was a lot of the people that worked behind the camera, which I think is even more interesting because you don't like those are the people you barely hear from in the first place. You always hear from the actors, and that's fine, and I love it and I appreciate it. But I'm kind of curious about the stunt coordinator. I'm curious about the guy who worked on the costumes. I'm curious, like that's the stuff I want to dive into. So that's what I love to do, and to give them just this, and that's why I think they come on. I think they're kind of hungry to talk about it, but no one's really ever been asking them the questions. So
Yeah, that's very true, and I actually think there is a way that you could probably make T2 or T2 reunion work, probably through Michael Biehn, actually, because he's not in the movie, but he did film, his little dream sequence that got cut, and he's in the special edition, technically. Plus, he's got a podcast, so he's doing something with Schwarzenegger right now. Maybe something can happen. I'm sure you could get Robert Patrick on through that.
dude, I have a story about Robert Patrick. So he does the convention circuit. And this was, I think, 2019 or 2018 when I did this. So it was the Terminator podcast. But I went to the convention. I knew he was going to be there. I was super excited. Got in line, got up to the table, paid my price. And I asked the person, I was like, do you think he'll do this? And they were like, yeah, he might. Yeah, you got to ask him. So then I get moved over. And now Robert Patrick is staring me in the face. And I hand him my Blu-ray just as backup. I hand him my Terminator 2 Blu-ray. Still have it signed behind me, right over here somewhere. And then I'm like, all right, can I just quickly pull out my voice recorder and can I have you say something to the effect of, this is Robert Patrick, you're listening to Terminator 101. And I told him I had a Terminator podcast. And then he looks over to his right, where I guess his personal person is that's not associated to the convention. Just he brings this person with him, and that person shakes their head like this. And he looks back at me and goes, there you go. And I've come to peace with it now. When I left, I hated Robert Patrick. When I left that convention, I wanted to throw that Blu-ray away. Thank God I didn't, but I've come to peace with it now. But like I've always been like, dude, you're Robert. Like you could tell that guy to go shove dirt. Like I don't understand. And this is before the whole AI explosion. You in deep fakes, you 100% could have said, this is Robert Patrick. You're listening to Terminator 101. I'm not asking you to give me your social. So I don't know about Robert Patrick. He loves to talk about it, but I don't know that there's really anything of value anymore that he can give. I feel like all his stories have been told.
Yeah, it would be more so. It would depend on who else is on, because just kind of like the Abyss one, like those guys. Part of why that was really great was like there was a genuine catching up vibe that they were all doing. So he doesn't really have to even say specific stuff. It's just like he's catching up with people he made a movie with a long time ago. That was a kick-ass, amazing movie.
True, man. We'll see, dude. We'll see. I am working on something right now with Jeff Don, and that's all. We'll talk about it when we're not live. I don't want it to be out into the ether, just in case it doesn't happen. but we are working on something, which is what I'm kind of focused on right now, and hopefully it can happen. And he's sort of my he's the new Philip. Hopefully he can organize this, and I think it would be really cool. But yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. But if nothing else happens, I can at least. And I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. I was like, I'm proud of the show, and because you always have those days where you're like, is what I'm doing even?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what the hell am I doing? And then I always find a way to reassure myself. I'm like, well, look, at least I did something that made a lot of people excited, except for the people who are like this, like the host just sat there. But I, I've done something that made a majority of people very happy, and I feel good about it. And so I can kind of rest, and that's good with me.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And you want to amp up that little feeling of, was what I'm doing even like, what is this? Do it by yourself, because it's 100 times worse when it's by yourself, because you kind of feel crazy. Like it. That's why when I do the thing I do it live, because at least people can go on there. You know, if there's anyone and they chime in, then it helps. But if you're just talking and it's just you kind of like, is what I'm doing even good? Am I crazy? Like, do people? It's just as you're doing it, like that's you're thinking of that. So it's like it's hard to like switch that off and just ignore it.
Yeah.
But that's true of anything. Like if you're writing, filmmaking, whatever, acting, you just it's that imposter syndrome. You feel like you know, because you're putting yourself out there, and you're just like you know, you're just out there in the ocean, like what am I doing? You're hoping that somebody like, oh, there he is, and they start, you know, going towards you.
Yeah. But no, look, so I don't want this to just be all talking about me and everything. So you make movies? That's what you do?
When I can, but when I say that, it's super low budget. I've made stuff with little crews, and it's been a little bit since I've made something. But yeah, when I can, I do make my own films. I have a couple of short films. I actually made a Jesus Halloween fan film like 2 years ago. A whole thing ended up happening with that. Um, there's a thing in my town where I live where they kind of like the downtown area, they like close it down, and like the whole town goes there to celebrate Halloween, trick or treat, whatever. There's like hundreds of people there, and you know, it's decorated, people all dressed up. It's really cool. But that kind of inspired me to make a Halloween fan film, especially since during that time, like 2 years ago, I like there's a constant feed of them on my YouTube. And something just kicked in my head. I'm like, I want to do that just because it seems cool and fun. And I ended up doing it. And when I put it out, for some reason, it got on the radar of the studio, Trancast International or whatever, that owns the franchise. And they'll like, you know, give it to Blumhouse or whatever, but then they always get it back. They own it. That film came across their radar for some reason, and even though there's been 30 years of Halloween fan films, they like removed mine through YouTube, gave me a strike. And then as it was doing really well, like getting tons of likes, views, whatever, the trajectory was really strong. And then I remember it was like I had checked my phone at like 5 a.m. and saw that and was just freaking out. And then I learned later that they did that to a couple other films, and we started like this kind of support group, which I thought was funny. Like, what? Why do they do this to us? Just guys all over the country that I never would have met otherwise. One of them's in French Canada even, and he made a really good one. But eventually, I reached out to that studio, and they actually responded to me and told me what was going on. They didn't agree to drop it essentially, but I actually got to talk to someone at that studio about it, and he basically told me, "Hey, it just rubs someone the wrong way. Basically, it's a compliment. Take it as a compliment because someone thought you went too far in a good way." So, and I was talking to their legal guy. He's like, "So I just had to do something about it, and sorry." And we did it to a couple other films too. And then I was continuing to talk to them of like, well, what can I do different, whatever. And they wouldn't tell me. They couldn't condone anything, but I made a new version of it, and that's still on YouTube. But point of the story is like that led me to actually talking to someone at the studio, which I thought was cool, even though it was stemmed from something that was kind of gut wrenching at the time. And then I got to meet these other guys that also made films.
Do you watch? He's on YouTube. He's like, to me, he's the Halloween guy, kind of like the way I want to be. That the Cameron guy. His name's Dave McRae. Do you watch him?
I've heard of him, but I don't think so.
You should check him out. He's good. And he's done his fan films as well. But he always talks about on his live shows. He talks about.
That's probably why I recognize the name. I'm sure I have seen his film. I just don't
Oh
remember
yeah,
what it was called.
yeah. He's based in Canada, and but he always talks about. So hearing this, I'm not. That's why I'm shaking my head because now you're confirming it. He says the Halloween fan film space Compass, they shut that stuff down faster than you can say Michael Myers. So that's why he doesn't really bother with that anymore. And he did some Black Christmas fan films recently. So
That's cool. That
yeah.
Yeah, fan films. I always kind of viewed it. I don't know, maybe as other people would. Just like it depends on the franchise, I guess, but not. There's really bad ones out there, basically, and they can kind of give it a bad look. But there's also some really good ones, like surprisingly, like even better than the studio, some would say, or like at least comparatively to like remakes and reboots and whatever. And I felt that way about some that I had come across before I did the one I did. Because I don't like David Gordon Green's trilogy, the Blumhouse one. I hate it. The first one was all right. The sequels are like dreadful. I can't even believe like I don't know what he was thinking. I absolutely hate him. Not to get into that, but there's some other guys that made basically their own version of those sequels, and I was like, this is so much better, and like it's just a fan film. So there's examples of that too, and that's kind of what made me want to try that out. And it was one of the funnest things filmmaking wise that I've made. It's just because it was you're playing in that sandbox, and you could do whatever you want with it. Very low budget, but it was really fun to do. And the one I did was called Mask of Evil. If anyone wants to check it out, if you just search that, you can come across it on YouTube. And it kind of centered around Michael Myers going back to find his original clown mask when he was a kid, which I hadn't seen anywhere else, and still to this day. And I don't know. I thought it was interesting, and made a 15-minute film out of it.
There you go, man. I applaud any kind of filmmaking. That because you pour your heart and soul into it. And speaking of fan films, and I had him on the show as well. There's a director, Chris Not O'Reilly, I think is how you say his last name. But he did a Skynet fan film. And he was able to get Michael Edwards, who played John Connor in T2, the old John Connor, when you see him in the future. He got him to come back and reprise his role as John Connor. And I think it's like 20 minutes long. It's pretty good, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, now you've taken a fan film and you've just like upped it a little bit higher than what a fan film typically is, because now you got one of the people that played a role, no matter how tiny it was in the movie. For me, when you think of John Connor, I think of two names. I think of Edward Furlong and I think of Michael Edwards. So that was pretty cool that he was able to get him on there. So have you ever, like when you were doing the Halloween thing, did you ever contemplate, maybe I'll reach out to an actor from Halloween 4 kind of thing?
No, but there's people that have done it, not just in Halloween, but other ones. That's kind of like the gold standard. If you can make a fan film but get somebody involved, that was actually, for multiple reasons, for fan reasons, but also, kind of verifying like, hey, this is an actual, more than, it's just more than, period. But I have not seen that. That would, is that on YouTube? That fan
What,
film?
Skynet?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I'd be afraid to touch anything that Cameron did as a fan, because I would just think like, I would like, hey, look at what I did with your film, man. And you just like, this is why did I'd be afraid of like him thinking something of it, and I just would rather not even attempt that. I'll do anything else, but I don't know. That might have been a one and done for me, fan film wise, because I would rather just do original stuff. But it was fun to just play in that sandbox. And I'm also John. My two filmmakers are Cameron and Carpenter. John Carpenter.
Two C's.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Carpenter is. I like some of his movies. Haven't seen a lot of his movies. And then I just don't like his personality. I just think he's.
Yeah.
Man, I like, dude, be a little more grateful. Just be a little more grateful. Just a little more grateful. You come off as this old, scraggly, grumpy D word. Like, man, just be happy, dude. I don't know. Just be happy. And I don't know.
He definitely is. At the same time, sometimes he can be kind of precious about his work and certain things, but then he'll just accept checks. Like, oh, I don't care. Like, take Halloween, do whatever you want, make it horrible. You know, he doesn't care. It's just, he even said like something to that effect where he's just like, send me a check and you can do whatever you want, man. Like, paraphrasing, but that's his attitude on it, basically. And I guess occasionally he'll help with the score or something, but yeah, every little thing he's done from The Ward on has been. Maybe he should just stay retired. I kind of respect when filmmakers keep going just because they love it, but I can also see like most filmmakers when they're done, they're done. Like their films are just not getting any better. But I really respect them to just keep doing it because they love it. Like more power to you. Just keep doing it. I respect that more than someone like Tarantino, who was like, I'm gonna stop at 10 films, all right, because and he's right. Most filmmakers do fall off a cliff, but they're doing it because they love it. They're not really concerned about their ego. So to say like I'm gonna stop at 10 because I know, that's egotistical. Like, and he has an ego to command that, but I don't respect that as much as someone just doing it because they love it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, but because I love watching interviews with filmmakers, and Carpenter is just always one that I'm like, God, here we go. I'm gonna click this interview. He's gonna be an a-hole.
Yeah, you might as well just not even watch. He's got nothing of value to really say anymore. So
and maybe that's it too. He's not even pretending anymore. He's embraced. I'm gonna be the grumpy guy next door, and I just think that's the wrong. Just then don't talk about it, because it's not making the fans feel good, and two, I don't think it's making any up and coming filmmakers. And I think Carpenter's kind of, again, I don't know if you would personal is one thing, but I don't think he's one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, personally. Do you? Do you think he's one of the greatest filmmakers of all time?
No, but he's kind of in a special space for me, I guess.
Right, personal, yeah.
He doesn't have like I like so many of his films, so I can say that. But certain filmmakers have like you can argue that he's an auteur. I think he is in his own right. But someone like Tim Burton has a clear like artistic thing that, yes, Tim Burton, I can instantly recognize that. That's like, artistry that he brings to whatever he does. James Cameron, and I believe also in his different ways. I mentioned earlier, I think he's the only mainstream auteur. But Spielberg, so many of these guys have a clear thing where you can say this is their greatness. Carpenter, it's a little bit foggier, but because like, what is it that makes Carpenter films great? And then he's also got some bad ones that I still love. Like Ghosts of Mars is known as like a bad film. I love that film. I think it's really fun to watch. The Ward is absolutely horrible. I will say that. That's his worst film ever.
That's the Amber Heard one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems like this horrible TV movie that I don't even know how you did that. And then I think he did some TV show that I'd never watched, but I heard horrible things about it.
Oh, John Carpenter's Suburban Nightmares.
Yeah. I don't know if he actually directed one of the episodes, but he was like there.
I think he did. I think because I remember hearing McRae talk about that. He directed from his house.
Oh yeah, that's what I heard. Wow, just Come on, man.
Like, dude, come on. Like, you're gonna direct like how we're doing what we're doing right now is how you're gonna direct. Okay.
But
But
then,
that's the thing. And I think he kind of, and you could argue Cameron as well, but I feel like he stuck too much into one genre,
yeah,
you know? I think he kind of really zeroed in on horror. That's what he's kind of known as, the horror guy. And so I think that kind of screwed him up. I think that's also why Wes Craven kind of got screwed up, why he's never really in that conversation of greatest filmmakers of all time. Because you never really expand outward. And yeah, most of Cameron's films are sci-fi, but I think you have the stuff like Titanic, True Lies. There's attempts at other things, and then numbers wise, like you were talking about yesterday on your just like numbers wise, I think that kind of cancels out the genre thing. So
the numbers is definitely a reason. That's why Spielberg is really considered probably the greatest, because
yeah,
to his credit, he's made a large number of films from a variety of genres, and he's made really great films in like all those genres. They're not always, he doesn't always knock it out of the park. I think BFG is like, you should remove your name from that film. But he's, for the most part, most of his films are, iconic, incredible. They have really great performances, moments, scenes, iconic, whatever, you name it. But he's also like Schindler's List. Obviously, it's Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan. And then you go to the sci-fi E.T. and I haven't seen Disclosure Day. I don't know if you have, but I've heard that was kind of bad.
yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. I do want to.
Yeah, I'm of course going to check it out. But Minority Report, War of the Worlds, it goes on, and then he's done like Catch Me If You Can, which I think is a really great movie. Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks. It's just kind of like a fun, entertaining movie. Most of what he does, he knocks it out of the park, and it's not limited to a genre. Not every filmmaker can say that, and he definitely can.
Oh yeah. My favorite Spielberg is Duel, which I know that's very unpopular, but I think that is, when you consider how young he was and the quality of that particular movie, what it is, how tense it is, all practical locations, no CGI, no nothing. Like, I just think
that's his first feature, right?
That's insane. Yeah, it was a TV movie and then it got a theatrical release, but yeah, it's his first movie. Bonkers to think about. I can't even fathom. He was younger than I am. He was in his early 20s when he made. It's like, what? So even just that, I think, qualifies him as greatest filmmaker of all time. Just how young he was and what he was able to pull off. So that's why it's always my favorite. And I love telling people that, because they're always like, Duel? That's your favorite Spielberg?
He's clearly gifted, and it seems really effortless with him. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's ever struggled to do it. He probably would say different, but he just makes it seem so effortless. If you watch any behind the scenes, you listen to interviews. It's just,
and he's fun to listen to in interviews versus Carpenter. Like, Spielberg actually makes me, and I don't have any interest, but he makes me want to make movies.
Yeah.
When I hear him talk about movies, I'm suddenly like, geez, maybe I do want to make movies. And then Carpenter talks, and I'm like, where's a gun? Where's a gun? Like, I want to kill myself. Like, this is insane. So,
well, I mean, Halloween, there's no denying that kicked off the slasher genre. Although it wasn't the first, it definitely kicked it off. The Thing is my favorite sci-fi horror movie, and I think it's his best movie by far. It's just what was achieved on that film is incredible. Unfortunately, it took so long for, if that film came out and it was very successful, like, what would have changed in his career? Probably a lot, like, because he still made really great movies after that, but it never got better, basically.
Yeah, my favorite is Christine.
Yeah, Christine. That's the thing.
Christine.
He's got so many good movies. It's only his last two that were really stinkers.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Cameron apparently is a big fan of him, and Terminator 1 is basically his Halloween in some way, shape, or form. So I might not like Carpenter, but hey, Cameron likes him and he was inspired by him, then he plays a part in the Cameron story. So if this was a biopic, I guess you would have to throw in an actor playing Carpenter.
Yeah, well, my love for him is definitely his films, not so much himself. Even like there's that video of him like on set of Halloween where he's like talking about other filmmakers. He's like, I don't like Altman and Spielberg and these guys. He's like, they're because he's talking about Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He's like, it's pretentious and this and that, which is fine. You can have that opinion, but it's just funny that he's saying that on Halloween, which he was still getting started basically. It's like, what are you talking about, man? Like,
Yeah.
Spielberg at that point was already like leagues ahead of him, career wise and kind of respect wise. So that's probably why it's like a jealousy thing. That's coming from a guy that loves his work, but I can admit that.
Did you ever see the miniseries, James Cameron's Story of Science Fiction?
I haven't seen that.
No.
Oh wait, that's the one where he's like interviewing the director, like Spielberg and stuff, right?
Yes, it's
I've seen a couple, not the whole thing.
this one.
Yeah, I've seen him talk to Spielberg, but I haven't watched the full thing.
This is a great thing to watch. And then there's a companion book because this is like they had to cut out a lot of stuff from the conversations. They made a book that is the whole transcripts of their conversations. Spielberg's in there, Nolan's in there, George Lucas. Carpenter is not. Carpenter's not in there. But I think it's a phenomenal thing to check out. So if anyone has never seen this, do yourself a favor. They did a bunch of these on AMC. They kind of really rode high on Eli Roth's history of horror.
Yeah,
I'm not a big Eli Roth guy, but
I'm not either.
That was a really good one. It's like kind of surreal to see Cameron and Spielberg sitting across from each other talking. It's really cool.
I agree. He probably did reach out to Carpenter. Carpenter was just like, how much money am I going to get? None? All right, I'm not going.
Are you paying me?
Yeah.
James.
That's unfortunate, but
you know who wasn't invited?
Oh my God, Tommy Wiseau.
Tommy Wiseau. I love Tommy Wiseau, man. I gotta meet Tommy Wiseau before I die.
I have not met him, but I did go to a Comic-Con, the LA Comic-Con, not this year, but I think the last year, and he was there. And I saw him in person, and he definitely looks just as weird as he normally does. But it was awesome seeing him.
Have you seen his new movie, Big Shark?
I definitely need to check it out.
Oh, my God.
This
will turn into a side tangent, which we don't have to do right now. But at some point, I have to talk to you about Tommy Wiseau.
Yes. Yeah. That'll be another time.
Tommy Wiseau 101 coming soon.
Yeah. You probably could, because there's so many mysteries around that guy. Like, you could have 100 episodes, like, just trying to figure out what the hell he is. Where did he come from? What happened? Because it's still not clear.
Well, we had Greg Sestero on our channel.
Oh yeah,
Mark. Yeah,
that's
we did a couple things with the room. We did a watch along where we had Dan Janjigian, who played Chris R, the guy who was like, "Where's my money, Denny?" Yeah. We had that guy on. He watched the whole movie with us and commented, and then we just did a general interview with Greg. And the whole time, Greg was like laying on his bed with the phone like this. It was funny. It's like everything about that, whether it's the movie or if it's the actors, everything about it is weird. Like they even do the weird, like what kind of an interview is that where you're laying on your bed?
Who knows?
You would think you would prop your phone up like this and be like this, but he was laying down the whole time.
Even after watching The Disaster Artist, which I think is a great movie, not just because it's about the room, but it's just really well made, and the story he was able to craft behind that was really good. But you still don't know what the hell is going on, and that movie goes behind the scenes, and I'm sure it's pretty accurate. You're still like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's a shame that James Franco's did what he did, because he ruined that. Like, that movie was riding on a wave, and then he crashed it down because of what he did. That sucks. Anyway, back to Cameron. What do you think is his most misunderstood project? Doesn't even have to be one that he made, like directed. Could be something he was involved in.
Most misunderstood?
T2 3D.
T2 3D. First of all, Mike or Michael?
Either one.
Okay. Mike, did you ever get a chance to see this, like actually experience this?
No.
No, you never got a chance. That's one reason why it's misunderstood. Because now really no one can, because now it's gone from Universal. It was in 3 parks. It originated in Florida, then it went to Hollywood, and then it went over to Japan. First one that went out was Hollywood. Second one was Orlando, and then Japan held out the longest, and COVID killed it. So now really the only way you can see it is YouTube, and you can tell people who make custom VHSs, hey, can you make me a custom VHS? And that's it. So I think that's why it's the most misunderstood. Because now when you tell people about it, they're like, what the hell is T2 3D? Like, what? Wait, what? Like, is it being re-released into theaters? And you're like, no. There was a time where in between T2 and T3, they attempted to add a building block, and they actually made a theme park attraction that built off of T2 and was supposed to lead into T3. And then you watch Terminator 3 and you very quickly realize they did this to every idea and threw it out the window, which is fine. That's their call. But I think that's had we not had T2 3D, we wouldn't have his fascination with 3D, because that was the one that started it all.
Is that the same as the Battle Across Time, the ride?
Yeah, so that's the whole title, T2 3D Battle Across Time.
Oh, okay. That's because it didn't say Battle Across, because I know what that is. I have seen that when I was a kid, going to Universal Studios, but
yeah,
I haven't watched it. I kind of forget what it's. I know it's like they're back during the in the future or whatever, and Edward Furlong's in it and stuff, but I don't really remember what happens. It's been so long.
I mean, it's very pedestrian by Cameron standards, and again, because it's a theme park ride, so it had to be quick.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's why it's misunderstood. I think people had maybe higher expectations, but I think what it tried to do, it was pretty good. You infiltrated Skynet's headquarters and everything, and I think it would have been really cool to kind of build off of that. Where you would have built off of it, I don't know, which is maybe why they did that and threw it out the window. But I thought it was cool. And again, without that, you don't have his fixation with 3D. And that is the last time he directed a Terminator movie, because technically that is a Terminator film. It's a short film, but it's nevertheless, that's the last time. Which was why when Dark Fate was coming out, all the press on that was like, oh my God, this is the first time Linda and Arnold have been in a Terminator thing since T2 in '91. I'm over here going, okay, I guess we forgot about Battle Across Time. So
yeah, well, Terminator Salvation, they kind of did that, but not with it was a different. It wasn't a direct continuation or like related. It was kind of like they transplanted it, but it was set in the future.
Yeah.
Like, I guess they didn't go back in time or whatever, but I'm basically like that idea of kind of living in that. They did that with Salvation, whatever that. Maybe that was somehow morphed into that.
Like, what's so cool about this is, so when you enter the building, you're in Cyberdyne. Cyberdyne is still a thing. And then you're going through, and then you enter the Miles Bennett Dyson Memorial Auditorium, which I just think is so cool, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's a neat continuation. That makes sense. And now they give this presentation of, okay, yeah, we had some stuff in the past that happened, and they're referencing Cyberdyne being blown up in T2. But now we're moving forward, and we're making progress, and we're making better choices. And then you go in for a presentation, and T-70s are on either side of you, and they're talking about how these T-70s are going to be the next wave of military enforcement or whatever. And then a time bubble appears, and Arnold comes through and everything. It's so cool, and now no one can experience it. So no one gets it. And that's why it's misunderstood, to answer your question.
Yeah, that you know far more about that than I do, but that sounds like that probably literally is the most misunderstood and hard to come by. So
It's gone, dude. And I went to that thing because I had an annual pass. I used to live in Florida, so I would always go there. And some days I would literally drive the hour and a half that I lived away. I would just go do Terminator 2 and I would leave. I was like, I don't want to do the other roller coasters. I just want to do Terminator 2. And they had a
that
gift shop. They had a gift shop with cool merch. God, it was a Terminator heaven.
I remember that gift shop, and as a kid, that was my favorite ride by far. But I remember that specifically, like they had like a window display. The one I went to, Universal Studios Hollywood. So I don't know about Florida, but they had the T800, like the exoskeleton or whatever, without skin on it.
Yep.
Like a full figure of that, like metal. It was very expensive, but it looked badass. Like I remember that as a kid, just thinking, I want that, and it's incredibly cool. And yeah, it was definitely my favorite when I was a kid.
Do you remember seeing, because in Florida they definitely had it, they had a glass display like you were at a museum, and they had the 3 costumes that one said worn by Arnold Schwarzenegger, one said worn by Edward Furlong. Did they have that as well?
I think they also had like a life size thing too.
God, so cool. So cool. Man.
Yeah, I don't know why, because it's still popular. I don't know why they got rid of it. Or
Yeah, everyone I've talked to, because I've done my deep dives on T2 3D, I've talked to the creatives on it, and typically a theme park attraction is created with a lifespan of, nowadays it might be a little bit longer, but back then it was 10 years. It was created with a 10-year lifespan, and then we're going to remove it and we're going to put something else in. And the one in Florida lasted 20-something years. So I think that's a testament to, the power of it, and it made it up to Genesis, because Genesis came out in 2015, and then this one closed in 2017. So it made it that far. And then, like I said, the one in Japan held out the longest, and then it, in theory, might still be around, but COVID is the reason that got shut down for whatever reason. I don't know why COVID would do it, but
what did they even replace that with? The freaking Minions movie or something? Like
the one in Hollywood, yeah, the one in Hollywood, Minions took it out. The one in Florida is really cool. It's a stunt show dedicated to the Jason Bourne movies. It's called the Bourne Stuntacular.
That's cool.
It is some next level stuff in terms of like on stage entertainment. It is really cool.
They actually might have, because they in the Hollywood one they have the Fast and the Furious like experience or whatever. That's probably what they were thinking. Like this is kind of more in that lane. That's what's gonna. I don't even remember when they opened that, but like, come on, that's not even in the same league.
Yeah, I mean everything is really, but I mean at least like if I had to pick Minions or Jason Bourne, I'll thank you, Florida, for having common sense. Jason Bourne's pretty cool. And then in Japan, it's something called King Conan, and it's not Conan the Barbarian. I don't know what King Conan is. So
that sounds like a Japanese thing to do.
Yeah. But, what is your most misunderstood Cameron project? I'm curious.
Well, now that I know that, I guess before, I don't know, because that's not really a feature, so I don't know if I would count that, although I do agree with you in thinking that it might actually be the Piranha movie, because he technically didn't finish that, someone else did. He says he sneaked in and like changed the edit and stuff, but it's like you don't know exactly what did he shoot, what did he edit, what is the final version we got, how much is him, like, so that's really misunderstood. We don't know, and obviously it's a terrible movie, but it might be that, or I mean there's stuff misunderstood about The Abyss too. Before hearing T2 Battle Across Time, whatever, it'd probably be a tie between T2 and The Abyss.
You mean Piranha 2?
Oh, sorry, Piranha 2.
Yeah. No, I get it.
P2, not T2.
Oh, P2. Okay, I thought you said T2.
P2. I probably did. I don't know. I meant P2.
Okay, P2. Yeah, dude. I so the guy who finished it, his name is Avito Asinitis. What a name. And I have reached out to him. He's Italian. And he said he does not want to come on.
Yeah, of course.
Which is a shame.
Come on, man.
So
At this point, like I get that when it's fresh, but like how long has it been? Just like accept it. You know, there's a fan base for it, and it's just I don't get why people can be like even Mary Antoni whatever. Like it's been so long, just get over it.
yeah, yeah, like Ed Harris.
You
Yeah,
don't have to be so like sensitive. Like you had your experience. You don't have to like it, but you can talk about it now. Like it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I
If not
just
for you, do it for the fans. You know, because that's part of their job. Honestly, you don't
I,
always want to do what they're, but you doing what you do. You have fans, and that's part of your job.
oh
And
yeah,
you kind of owe it to them. And obviously, there's limits, but like they technically support you if they're fans of you. So
yeah, yeah. I am of the camp where I do include Piranha 2 in Cameron's canon, and because it's not like he says I didn't work on it at all.
he's actually a good example of what I just talked about. He's not precious about it and disowning it. He makes it a joke.
Well, he does. He does, I think, disown it. I think if you were to ask him, "What's your first movie?" he'll say The Terminator, and I'm of the camp. Your first movie is Piranha 2. Like, own it. Be happy with it. If we want to be really technical, because it's a short film, it's called Xenogenesis. That came out in the same year of Halloween, 78. And it's like a 10, 12-minute short. And again, I watched that and I'm like, there's no way I could make that. So be proud of that, no matter how limited it is. But yeah, no, like it's fascinating because if you watch old interviews with Cameron, like when he's on Letterman promoting The Abyss, he talks about, yeah, like my first movie I did, Piranha 2, it's not that great. And I'm like, okay, well, now Cameron, lean back into that. Like, that is your first movie. You have said it before. So now why are you saying it's not? I get you're not proud of it, but it's part of your
Well,
journey, dude. It's part of your journey. There's worse first time movies than Piranha 2.
he might have a little argument because he was fired off of it and technically didn't get to finish it. So maybe,
Maybe that's why. Yeah.
yeah,
He's just sour on it being fired.
he's got some grounds, but like he doesn't, deny involvement, and he does say like he made a terrible Piranha movie or whatever. He's not like I'm not going to talk about that. Some people they just don't even go there, and he at least entertains it a little bit.
Yeah,
It would
he
be
does
interesting to hear him talk more about it. Actually, the process.
today. Yeah. Yeah. If because I always think about this, if I ever get the chance to talk to James Cameron, what am I going to ask him? Because I feel like he's sort of said it all. And okay, so I would I would want to talk about three specific things. I would want to, as much as he would want to, Piranha 2, and I would poke him as much as I possibly could about it and try to get some other stuff out of it. I would poke him about Martini Ranch's music video for Reach. I don't know if you ever saw that, but he directed one music video in his career for Bill Paxton's band called Martini Ranch.
I've heard of that.
And he did a song called Reach, which is basically just a cameo heaven of Jeanette Goldstein, Catherine Bigelow, pretty much anybody from Aliens is in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would want to talk to him about that. I never hear him talk about Reach. And then I would want to talk to him about T2 3D because I never really, because that's, he films that in 1996 and then he goes right into Titanic. So I would love to know where his mind was. Like, how do you go from making this to, all right, now I'm going to shift my focus over to Titanic. So,
Yeah, I would love to hear those same points. So hopefully he can answer those at some point in his life.
let's hope, dude.
Yeah. I probably would want to ask about his really early stuff, like before he even made a film, like working with Roger Corman and stuff. I know he's talked about it a little bit, and he was part of what is that? Not is it Forbidden Planet? No, I have the thing somewhere.
Battle Beyond the Stars.
No, it's a different one. Planet of
Planet
Terror.
Terror.
I think that's the one. I have
Planet
it on.
Terror.
Blu-ray, and he started out as like a production designer on that, and then there's kind of talk that he might have, second unit directed some stuff, or he was responsible for some of the effects, like we could do this if you just do that, and he kind of morphed from a production designer to visual effects, and then maybe shot some stuff or assisted with that in some way. So I'd like to ask about that, and then how that eventually morphed into the Terminator, like the very early stuff, because obviously he wrote the script, but just more detail about that. And then probably after he did Titanic, that time period where he didn't make another movie until 10 years later, essentially, aside from those two documentaries, kind of what was going on during that time. Like, were people bugging him to make stuff, or was he like, kind of what was the tone on that? I'd be curious about.
Yeah.
Because he just made the most successful movie of all time. Like, what was that like to go from that to make nothing for 10 years and just go explore oceans and the Titanic again?
Yeah.
Which is very broad question. I'd find a way to dilute that, down. But yeah, there's so much. It's too many things.
But we'll see, man. We'll see if that ever happens. I'm not holding my breath.
Well, yeah, if he ever goes on the Bean podcast again, maybe you can, I don't know, wiggle in there somehow. We have a question from so-and-so. You just pop in there, ask one question.
Right.
Something like that. Whatever can work. But transitioning from that before we start closing it out here, because we could just keep going on and on and on, and hopefully we can do something else in the future, because this has been amazing and fun and awesome, and I definitely want to do it again. But aside from closing out from that, really quickly, let's just go through all of his movies. Just say a couple sentences about it. Doesn't have to be anything technical. Just what do you feel when you hear the name? And we'll start with Piranha 2.
I think I like that movie more than Piranha. I've seen both of them. Piranha 2 leans into the absurdity more. Now they're flying around, and it's a fun old time. And there's a lot of naked chicks in there, which is per tradition of those kinds of movies. So that's always a plus. I think there's some guy cheeks as well, so that's fun. So other than that, there's really nothing I can say about Piranha 2. It's
yeah, that's pretty good. I literally can't say anything on it because I haven't seen it yet, intentionally. But so moving on, the Terminator.
The Terminator is probably, it's either that or the second one. That's Arnold's best movie. I think there's really no other comparison. You really can't make an argument, I think. Maybe Predator, but I just think there's something so unique about the Terminator. And then the other thing that comes to mind when you say the Terminator is everybody that wanted to claim, because that movie has kind of been the victim of people claiming plagiarism on that one. I don't know if you've followed that, but the most famous one is Harlan Ellison. He got his credit added at the end of the movie. Cameron was not very happy about that. They settled out of court. And I've seen the episodes that Harlan Ellison claimed that the movie came from, and yeah, there's definitely some overlap in terms of similar plots, but whatever. But there's a woman out there. Her name is Sophia Stewart, and she claims she wrote the Terminator and the Matrix. And that's like her whole persona is that. And I made a video a long time ago where I was disproving it. I bought the book that she claimed it was based off of. I went on Amazon and bought the book, and I skimmed through it. Terrible, absolutely awful. So just wanted to mention that, just in case anyone did not know. There's a woman out there, Sophia Stewart. She claims she wrote The Matrix and The Terminator, like they're one story.
Yeah, there's a long I mean, I don't know the details on that one, but there's a long history of this kind of stuff happening, and sometimes it's actually legit, but I think oftentimes it's just like it seems like, oh yeah, it's a coincidence, but yeah, sometimes it is just a coincidence, or it's possible for two people to have a very similar idea, or they even get inspired by that, make their own version. Still very similar, but they didn't literally plagiarize it.
Right.
And then there's plenty of examples of movies that come out, Deep Impact and Armageddon, that are literally like the same movie, just a little bit different. So there's always controversy with that. Still, it'll never stop.
No. No.
Stranger Things, the TV show, there was a thing on that. You stole my idea. I pitched it to the Duffer Brothers. I know that happens too. People do pitch things, and then that idea is in someone's head. They don't maybe like the way you did it or your scripts, and they're just like, well, I do like the idea. Let's go over here and do it. Like, that happens too. Unfortunate reality.
Yeah, it's and then there's cases of which I think the Sophia Stewart lady falls into. You just want to outright lie and make that your whole persona and build up this whole following thing, and it's unfortunate. And she is a woman of color, so she loves to play that card as well.
Of course.
So it's sad.
Yeah.
But those are my, like, when you say Terminator, that's what comes, unfortunately, that's what comes into my head. Plagiarism.
Her and
Plagiarism.
her amazingness. All right, so Aliens.
The movie that I am probably the least attached to, like if I had to let go of one of Cameron's movies outside of Piranha, like let's focus T1 on, I would let go of Aliens. And but I still like it a lot. I love the practicality of it. And I love the line Jeanette Goldstein gives when Bill Paxton asked her, "Hey, have you ever been mistaken for a man?" "No, have you?" I love it. I love it so much. So
that, man, probably our biggest disagreement is on that movie.
I just wasn't raised on it, and so I came into it way too late, I think.
Maybe, but I mean, the Alien franchise is obviously its own thing. It's a whole franchise started by Ridley Scott. I'm someone who thinks Aliens is the best out of all of them. It's better than Alien, which is not popular. There's a big fan base for Aliens, but I think there's more people saying that it's Alien. Usually it's the first movie, but in this case, I don't think so. Because I think Aliens improves. They are different tones. Alien is more horror. Aliens is more action. But I think technically it improves everything about Alien. Adds more action, adds more character, just more themes to it. Better characters overall with more to them. Although Alien does have really good characters. It's very hard. That's the key. It's hard thing to compare those two, but I still think Aliens comes out on top. And I think it's one of Cameron's best movies also, because it has everything in my opinion. Good characters, comedy, well written, very well structured sequences, amazing effects, atmosphere, score, famous score. I just love everything about it. And I think it is one of his best.
No doubt. And it got a phenomenal documentary from one of my good friends, Ian Nathan. It's called Aliens Expanded, and it's like 4.5 hours long. So if you need a deep dive, I would say go check out Aliens Expanded.
I definitely will. I'm aware of that actually. I just haven't watched it yet, but yeah, I'm definitely checking that out. The Abyss.
Yeah, dude, that's the one that it was always Aliens and The Abyss that was like towards the bottom, and then that 4K re-release in theaters came out, because I had only ever seen The Abyss on one of these crappy DVDs that had like it in a really weird aspect ratio. So I hated the movie just based off of that, because my TV was like, I was like, what the hell's going on here? So I always hated The Abyss. Checked it out in theaters, blown away, specifically by the special edition. And so that's the one that has slowly crept up the furthest on my ranking. And then, of course, I think of my episode and what that meant. And so it now I kind of really favor The Abyss. Again, it's slowly crawling up my rankings.
Yeah, it definitely has crept up mine too, because for the longest time, my bottom two, which I can't count Piranha, were True Lies and The Abyss. But Not anymore. It's even harder for me to rank them now because I really like True Lies also. But um, yeah, I think The Abyss. It feels really like when you think of what is involved in that movie, the science in it, how things work. Like it's very mature and like technical and science heavy of the time. Like to even tackle that at all and make it seem like this seems like a real livable thing that these people are underwater. I don't even know how you do that, and then they actually film underwater. Like so much about that movie is incredible and like very such an achievement that they all should be proud of, and it definitely seems like they are. The ending, I do like aliens and that kind of thing, but I do get why Ed Harris is like, you know, he said he liked 9/10 of the movie. It does fall apart a little bit at the end. I think they could have scrapped that ending and made it just more traditional, like nuclear. They stop a nuke from going off, and the facility blowing up, and Michael Bean's going crazy. They could have just stuck with that, and they even could have had those moments where you see the like alien creatures through the water, and they're like, "What is that?" And that could have just been adding to that atmosphere of like you don't know what's under there. It's kind of creepy. What was that? And just leave it at that. They don't even ever have to mention it again. It just adds to that atmosphere. I think that movie totally could have worked that way. But I do see how, from the way the rest of the movie is, the way it goes, I mean, I can't fault them for feeling that way because I don't mind the ending, but I totally understand it. I, that's just like I said, it's such an interesting movie to me because of it's such an achievement, and it's unfortunate that it turned out the way it did ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah. And the again the special edition where you add in all that added stuff, um, and the montage of the I forget exactly what it's called. I've had Ed Marsh on who cut that together, but I want to say it's called Sins of Humanity or something, where it's just basically showing all the horrible things humans have done, and this is why the aliens want to
Hmm.
destroy us. Um, God, man, watching that and like I basically went into that theater and I blind because I really hadn't seen the movie. So, dude, I left that movie theater, especially with the when he goes down and he's typing to her, knew this was a one-way trip. Man, I'm bawling like so like that. Just that's one thing that Cameron's movies do, and I don't think we've really talked a lot about it. Is he has so many movies that either make me teary-eyed or full on like cry. And I've seen the movies multiple times, and every single time they get me. And so I think I mean, that has to be considered. It might be a kind of a cheesy reason why, but like I think that's the mark of someone that he's speaking to me so much that I'm so invested in what he's telling that I'm now emoting.
Yeah, and that's it ties into something I was going to mention right after this, but that plays into why I believe he's so successful because he just knows how to like go into like humanity's almost like your soul or something. Like he has like a tether. He knows where to hit it to like make it effective, to make people feel it. Um, so when it comes to, because I know people have criticized his writing specifically on Avatar, that it's not deep or surface level, whatever. He knows how to get there, like to attach the story to you and to these characters better than a lot of directors and writers actually. And so many movies showcase that. Titanic, I rewatched that like a year ago, and I was bawling from. And I'm not like an emotional guy. Like movies don't really, or I guess movies do that to me. In normal life, I'm not really that emotional, but movies do get that out of me, and especially movies that he does, like Titanic, even Avatar. Um, Although out of everything he's made, Titanic, I'd sure definitely gets me the most emotional. Um, Not to skip ahead to that, but yeah, real quick, The Abyss. Also, I didn't mention characters are amazing in that movie. Awesome characters, and that moment. I think it's one of Ed Harris's best performances, actually. when he's like screaming, "Fight, fight!" That's a amazing cinematic moment. Also, that isn't done that much. Like, that's a long scene. That scene would have been cut in most movies. Like, it would have just been, okay, this is what's going on, and she's alive, but he focuses on it like they're really reviving her. That's not showcased that often.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, during the reunion, he talks about that. I think Mary Elizabeth and that's part why she doesn't like that movie, is she felt like she was being
Treated like an animal.
toyed with or something. Yeah, like I don't know, like the film ran out or something.
Yeah,
As
she's
they
getting
were
slapped for nothing.
as they were filming that she was like, "You got that right." So, yeah, dude, it's so good, and I I love it. I love it. So that's The Abyss.
T2.
T2 is probably, if you polled everybody, I believe that would be considered his magnum opus. If you polled the world, I feel like most people will say Terminator 2 is where James Cameron peaked. I disagree, but I feel like the general consensus is that's his masterpiece. Which is kind of funny, because I don't necessarily think there might have been inklings of stories, but I don't think he planned on making it. I think they came to him and they were like, "Hey, look, would you like to do a sequel? We think you should do a sequel." So I think
He
it
is very good at making sequels.
it kind of got pushed in his direction, and then he opened up to the idea of doing it. I don't think, that's my understanding of it. I could be wrong, but I think he would have gone on and done other things outside of Terminator, and then that got brought to him. So I think that's funny that that's his magnum opus, this movie that he really might not have made had it not been presented to him. Like, hey, you should probably make this.
Yeah, I definitely read that somebody brought him that idea. It didn't come from him, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, I could do that. I like that."
Yeah.
And he made one of the best sequels of all time. Which, look at the sequels that guy has made. No one else really has that record where you could argue that he's made 3 sequels that are all better than the original. I think Aliens is. T2, it is debatable. I think it might be. Although, just like Alien and Aliens, Terminator's more horror, T2's more action, and then Avatar: The Way of Water. It's hard to fairly judge that because it's a continuation of a story, but which I guess they all are. They're sequels. What am I talking about? It's not. I think it's better than Avatar, but I feel like for some reason it's less fair to say that about that one. I don't know why. But yeah, 3 sequels that are arguably better than the original.
True.
All
Yeah.
based on. I actually know Alien's not. 2 of them based on his own property that he made.
Right. And T2 is the one that is consistently the most, like, there's so many. Like, I feel like I've like every time I feel like I've collected every single new, like, there's a new thing that pops up when I search Terminator 2 on eBay. Like, there are so much Terminator 2 physical media releases. So I think that's another thing that plays into it. It's his most marketable movie in some way. And it has just this incredible legacy. Flipping Arnold from bad to good, flipping Sarah Connor from human to near Terminator in her own right. Like, God, everything about that movie.
Yeah. Just like Aliens, you could say that it one-ups Terminator in like every regard. Linda Hamilton, I think one of her best performances also, if not the best. And she really brought it. But that makes me think to ask you, what's your favorite version of the film?
Yeah, that one specifically, I would go theatrical, just because there's 3 cuts. There's theatrical, special edition, and then extended special edition. And really the only difference between those 2 is the extended special edition has that very final scene where you see her super old. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm. I've seen
Yeah,
all
so
of the versions.
that's the extended special edition. So I really don't like that one. Just because, love you, Jeff. I think you're awesome. I think that makeup is, I don't know what the hell's up with that makeup, but it ain't. It's not it.
It's a little.
So it's a little weird looking. So I think theatrical, but there's some stuff, man. Like I would pick and choose because there's things in the special edition I love. I love the Michael Biehn stuff, except and this is why it was cut, because it leads into the first. Had it been in the regular, it leads into the first nuclear nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
So had that been in the movie, the theatrical, there would have been 2 nuclear nightmares. So that's why he cut it.
Yeah.
But everything up to that point, I really like. I love the reunion of it. He still looks like it's 6 years later, and he still looks very much like he did in the first movie. So I love that reunion. And I would love to have included the opening his head scene, just from a filmmaking point. I think that is just the neatest thing.
That's one of those moments where yes, you don't need it, but it's so damn cool. Like with the great effect, just keep it in there.
It's just so cool, and knowing that it's her twin sister on the other side, and they have to perfectly match movement. Oh, dude, it's like a filmmaker's like wet dream of trying to make this as perfect as possible.
How lucky did he get that he cast her? She's perfect for the role, and she's got a twin sister.
Yeah.
For a guy that loves to push the envelope in filmmaking and like do cool effects and pioneer stuff, it's just the stars were aligned on that.
It's too cool. So yeah, theatrical. Where do you fall?
Special edition.
Special edition.
I'm almost always I like the extended versions. If I like the world and whatever it is, I just want more of it. So even if I can agree, oh yeah, it's not as tight, it's not as fast paced and slows down a little bit, I don't care. I just like to be in watch longer. Avatar's an example of that. Like, it's already a long film. I like the extended one of that, or the collector's edition. I don't care if there's a 30-minute like just flying through the air slowly like I'll watch it. I just love it. So
yeah.
But
funny enough, sorry, before we go to True Lies, Terminator 2 is the one where I can watch because essentially I know it's a different cut, but ultimately they're deleted scenes. Mm-hmm. So those are deleted scenes that I can watch, and I'm not turned off completely by them. If you know what I mean, because you're so familiar with the original movie, the theatrical movie, it's like so ingrained in your head. When you see these deleted scenes, a lot of times it can rub you the wrong way because it feels like this weird alternate reality, and it makes you uncomfortable because you're seeing things that you haven't been exposed to a lot. Terminator 2 I can actually watch, and I'm like, okay, like I don't like it. Some of the stuff, like the Miles Dyson thing with the wife rubbing his back or whatever, like I don't know what's going on there. I don't like that. But when we get to another movie, it rubs me like every single deleted scene I've seen of that movie rubs me the wrong way. So we'll talk about it. True Lies.
True Lies.
True Lies, I think, is his most underrated movie. And it's always that or The Abyss. And I'm always like in one thing, like one show or episode, I'll say it's this. It's got to be True Lies. It's got to be True Lies. I know I said recently that it had a spin-off show. So you could argue that makes it less underrated because at least it continued on. There's some new exposure. But it got canceled after one season. So I think it's True Lies. And I've also argued that it has the least different physical media covers. It's usually always Arnold with a gun. Mm-hmm. At least The Abyss has some cool shit.
Also has a horrible 4K version.
Yeah. So I think it's True Lies. And it's his attempt at really trying to diversify his genres.
Yeah.
And it can really rub people the wrong way. Going back to Letterboxd, if you look, like, because I do a segment on my show, Bad Reviews, where I go through all, and man, a lot of people don't like True Lies. It has not aged well to a lot of people. They find it insensitive to a lot of cultures. And so, but I think it's his most underrated. And
Well, it's got like the cliche movie terrorist in it, so it does have that. But I mean, that was common of the time, especially in the '80s. It's just like, just throw terrorists in there. It doesn't even matter. Like they're like it was just a thing. Like who's the bad guy? Terrorists, and they were just like caricatures. And I guess that carried on into that movie. It's also Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
But, but yeah, I would agree. That's his most underrated.
Because then
you don't
because
really.
then sorry, but then you could also argue it's his most underrated because at least The Abyss got a theatrical re-release. They're not
Yeah.
they're not putting True Lies back in theaters.
Plus, like, who really talks about True Lies? You'd hear more people talking about The Abyss, and I don't know. I fully agree. It's his most underrated and way better than I ever thought it was. It took me a while. That was the last, aside from Piranha, which I have yet to see. That was my second last film that I watched. Like for the longest time, I never watched it. I didn't think it was like anything. Because first of all, sci-fi and horror. That's like my main bag. Action, comedy. Action's third on that list. So I was just like, I don't know. It took me a while to catch on to watch that. I wish I would have watched it early because it's very funny. Bill Paxton's hilarious in it. Very entertaining, great movie. And like Jamie Lee Curtis is great. Arnold Schwarzenegger's great. Great story. Paxton's whole setup where he's like, the sleazy con artist spy. Like, here's my briefcase. You got to, everything was. I love that movie, which is again why I wish I would have watched it earlier.
Yeah, it's so good. It's and I would also say it has an Arnold one-liner that you really don't ever hear him say for some reason. I mean, he said it when he did the one season of Celebrity Apprentice, but
Yeah, you're
the
fired.
whole "you're fired" thing where he looks right at the camera, like, God, it's so good.
Which, speaking of that effect, by the way, it looks incredible to this day. Like, and it's not really done in a way that's like, look at this. Like, Avatar is more spectacle than that effect, but that effect is extremely well done and still really holds up.
Yeah,
Of the Harrier jet.
oh, so good. Now you have my, because I haven't seen True Lies in a while. You have my mind going. I thought Bill Paxton was a used car salesman, and that's it. But he turns out to be a spy.
Well, that's where the con part comes in. He does that to get with
Jamie Lee
Schwarzenegger.
Curtis.
Yeah,
Right.
he
Okay.
pretends to be like a spy, and he meets her in like a coffee shop or something, and he comes in
that's
there
right.
like,
That's right.
I can't stay long. Someone's, you got to take this briefcase, and then he sets her on this rabbit, whatever chase, for him, and then it leads to that hilarious part where, Schwarzenegger learns about that, and he puts like an operation on the guy's house, and he storms in, and then he's like on top of her, and he just zooms into his eyes and the mask, just awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. So good. That's maybe Bill Paxton's funniest movie. I haven't seen everything Bill Paxton has done, but I think that would be a hard one to top.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, back to Aliens, one of his best characters too. And he says that at the time he was like, "Oh man, I was horrible in Aliens, and my character was," but he did exactly what the story needed, and actually his character ends up being, even though he's kind of a coward and what are we gonna do now, man? He eventually like steps up and becomes kind of a hero and does what he's supposed to do, like a good character arc, basically.
Yeah.
And his character has, some of the most iconic lines in that. But moving on, Titanic.
Titanic, in my opinion, Cameron's magnum opus, my favorite James Cameron movie, and next year I'm so excited. 30 years. I really hope they go all out. Leo comes on. He agrees. He finally accepts it. Gives us a new interview. New physical media. I want them to, like, I don't know, create a mega deluxe edition of the ship, and the discs are inside. God, I want everything. That movie is just, I wish because that's 97, so I was only 5 when that movie came out. So couldn't have seen it in theaters, but I would love to have seen it in theaters. Anytime they put it back in, I'm there. And Specifically, what makes me cry is not Jack dying at the end. It's when she hops back onto the ship. That's the scene that always gets me. And going to the deleted scenes thing. This is the movie where if I watch a deleted scene from Titanic, oof, man, oh man, there is some rough crap in that. Thank God got deleted. The ending with Bill Paxton laughing up into the sky, awful, awful, awful. There's like an extended scene between Lovejoy and Jack fighting that just drags on way too long. God, every deleted scene in that movie just feels wrong.
Well, that's why there's no like extended version of it, because those are truly deleted scenes. They're deleted because they were bad or that ruined this, truly ruined it. They don't enhance it at all. So those are true deleted scenes in that movie.
Yeah.
And that ending is hilarious. Which, thank God. I'm sure James Cameron, being James Cameron, knows him. He made a good call. He knows what he's doing. We can trust him on that.
I've said it, and I think this might be the best way to say it. I've said it to Alex Sarno, who was Cora in the movie, the little girl that is always with Jack. I said that scene, specifically that deleted scene of the ending where they're like, it feels like a hostage situation going on. I said it feels like Lorne Michaels from SNL was on the ship, and they were like, "Can we quickly film an SNL sketch really quickly here? Can we just do that? Can we have some fun?" And Cameron was like, "All right, Lorne, whatever. Let's film an SNL sketch." That's what it feels like. It feels so comical and over the top, and just God, I don't even know why you would waste time filming it. I'm happy it exists because it makes me laugh, but man, just to think that it almost was in there. It almost was in there. What would it have done to the legacy of the movie? Like, would the movie be what it is? Because that, I think, really could have sunk it.
Yeah, I wonder what that must have been in the script, and then he realized this isn't going to work. It worked on paper and not in person or something. Because otherwise, you're right. Why would he film it?
Why would you film it? Except Lorne Michaels is there.
Yeah, he must have realized after shooting that scene, like, oh my God, I got to change this. Probably the pressure of that movie, which he's spoken about, helped him on that, because he's like, oh shit, I really got to make sure this stuff doesn't slip through the cracks. He trimmed all the fat that he needed. But yeah, that moment you mentioned, that gets me. There's like 4 or 5 moments that get me. The moment where it shows like the passengers, the old couple on the bed, the water rushing under. Yeah. That moment, the actual ending of the film, which I think is something that isn't talked about enough. I think it has one of the best endings of any film ever. It's the perfect button on that movie. Makes perfect sense. It's very satisfying, happy, sad. It's literally got everything. And like the score in that moment, the way it's shot, all the people that died are there. It's like, it's just very powerful, especially since it's a real event. It's not just a movie, So bravo to him for making what I think is one of the best endings, because it just has, it's just like I say with Aliens, it has everything you would want in an ending. That movie in general, I think it's in that weird spot where it's like, it was super successful, everyone knows it, but it's not really given that credit. It's more than just, a big disaster love story. Like, yes, that's the surface, but it's a very deep movie, actually, with a lot to it, a lot of technical craft to it, and care that only someone like Cameron could have given it, because he actually cares about that. That's why he explored that friggin' ship, for 10 years after that, basically. And like he said, that's the reason why he even made it to begin with, so he could be paid to explore the ship. Which, again, yeah. If he didn't make it, it would have just been a run-of-the-mill disaster film, because it would have been made at some point, or remade, since it was technically made before. That steep exploration of the ship with the modern day connecting to the old, that wouldn't have been in the movie. And that's one of the best parts about it, the fact that there's both of that. Because the exploration is really cool, and the connection from Old Rose to that, everything about that movie is incredible.
Yeah, I showed a friend recently who had never seen it, and it was like one of the flashback cinema things. I was like, we have to go see Titanic. You have to see it on the big screen. Took him, and he was like when the movie started, he was like, wait, hold on. I thought, is this movie like, I thought it was just all about 19 whatever it was. He said 1912. I was like, no, 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 no. Like there's a whole, like there's a back and a forth thing going on with the present, and and then it becomes a period piece. So he was really thrown off by the fact that it starts not in the time period Titanic is set in. It starts in the present day, and that really took him off guard. And I think, like you said, to you, it really kind of helps balance everything. So I would love to see what that movie looks like without Bill Paxton and Susie Amos and Gloria Stewart. See what like how it feels, but
Yeah, which her performance in that film,
so good,
yeah,
so
thankfully
good.
she got to do that because that you know gets to exist forever. That brilliant performance she did. God, not to go too deep into Titanic, pun intended. The that I think is part of the why it was so successful is because that's kind of a way in for people because there's people that don't like the movie's in the 1900s, 1910 or whatever. I don't want to watch that. Like, but that's a way in to like no, it's in the modern day and she's telling a story, so it kind of like sucks them in. People that maybe wouldn't want to watch that on the face of it.
Yep, yep. That's the genius of it, and that's yeah, that's for me. That's his magnum opus. That's the movie that he'll never top, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, that's a great thing to rest your mantle on, and but don't ever doubt James Cameron. That's the key. And Cameron we trust, which brings me to Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar one. That's my favorite of the series. That's the one I wish that just one and done, and then go on and make some other crap. But that's one I haven't seen the extended stuff on yet. I'm kind of just prolonging that. I would love to. But I love the familiar story to it, and I love that it looks like a PS2 game now versus a PS5 game. I love that that's how much he's topped himself, which is crazy to think, but it still looks great. That's just a rough comparison there, but Avatar's Avatar Avatar is solid. But I do wish Titanic was the biggest movie of all time. I'm kind of a little salty that Avatar is the biggest movie of all time, but whatever. It speaks to Chinese, like the Chinese market apparently really loves Avatar.
Yeah, that's actually kind of the first time I've heard it put that way. Wishing Titanic, which is that's valid. I wouldn't mind that honestly either. But that I agree. The story being simple the way it is, whatever, intentional. It's not because it's he doesn't know what he's doing. He made the story he wanted to tell accessible on purpose. That's why it's similar to these other movies that people love to throw in there. And yeah, that movie, like I mentioned earlier, really changed my outlook on everything and what I wanted to do, and it just inspired me like no movie really had. And honestly, the last movie, not even the sequels to Avatar, the last movie that really has made me feel like that again was Project Hail Mary. Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah. I know you're a big fan of that movie, and it was a good experience. I was very happy I checked it out. Ryan Gosling is an incredible actor, and but I'm still, when it comes to Phil Lord and Chris Miller, I think my favorite of theirs is 21 Jump Street. But I know that's like a night and day comparison.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I love those movies too because they're brilliant and hilarious. But yeah, to even think that's the same people that made that, it's crazy.
Well, no, to
Totally
think that it's the same people from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Did you know
much
that?
better. Yeah,
Like that's like, okay, come on, really? Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and then you end up in Project Hail Mary. Whew, that's progress.
that is insane. But yeah, I always my main thing is how does it make me feel, and that movie just completely got me and everything. So,
Yeah.
technical, whatever, anything else aside, it's like that movie for whatever reason really impacted me.
Yeah. Project Hail Mary. Not my favorite, but it is definitely one of the best of the year so far. And so I'll definitely give it another watch when it comes out because I just love Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, and he is great in it. Definitely one of his, in my opinion, one of his best roles, and he's had a number of them.
Yeah.
But Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yeah. These ones, can we just lump them together?
No, yeah, that's fine.
Because
They're literally the same movie extent. Part one, part two.
let me see where is because I have it on my letterbox. I have my James Cameron ranking. I just want to make sure I get my own ranking correctly here. I just want to give you accurate. All right, James Cameron ranked out of 13 movies, because I do include his documentaries in there, so Ghosts of the Abyss and whatever, Hit Me Hard and Soft. So out of the 13 I've seen, I haven't seen Aliens of the Deep yet, also prolonging that. And I think he has another one, Expedition Bismarck. So 13 I have logged. Number 10 is Avatar: The Way of Water. And number 9 is Fire and Ash. So they're also kind of sitting comfortably toward the bottom. Again, I'll be there. I'll be there day one. You could make a Teletubby movie and I'd be there. I swear to God I would. But I'm not invested the way I want to be. I'm not invested like my friend Jeff. If they don't ever make any more of these, I'm going to cry myself. Like I'm just not there. It sounds like you're a little more invested. It sounds like he needs to complete this. I'm like, if he doesn't complete it, someone will. So I don't know.
Well, I'll put it this way: if he just came out and was like, "Here's the deal: I can either finish Avatar or make one more movie that's not Avatar," I'd choose the one more movie that's not Avatar.
Correct. Me too.
But it mainly comes down to me again, just how Avatar made what that made me feel, and then these are just continuations of that. So, I'm biased in that regard because again, when you start bringing in his other films to the mix, it is muddy for me to rank them when I feel so strongly about the first Avatar, and I do like the sequels. It's just complicated. But I also think The Way of Water did improve a lot of things about the first movie, and then Fire and Ash is I understand the criticism of it. I'll just put it that way.
But I liked Fire and Ash more than Way of Water. I think
It's darker. I like that.
And I love Varong. I love that character. If they don't make any more, I will miss her because I really enjoyed what Una Chaplin brought to that character, and the design of her I think is awesome.
Agreed.
So she's the best thing so far. And I find the most interesting character among the entire series to be Quaritch. I love what he's been doing with Stephen Lang, killing him in the first one, bringing him back as this like incarnated version of him, and now he has this whole dynamic with Spider and everything. I find that fascinating as well. But I don't find the whole Jake and Neytiri, like them being the main. I'm not really interested in Jake and Neytiri, the whole family drama. I kind of don't like my dad, and my dad feels like he's like, maybe it's because I'm not a dad. And I know that that's been a big thing for Cameron, implementing all of that since he is a dad and understanding that stuff. So maybe 20 years down the line, and I'm a proud parent, I'll look at those movies differently. But yeah.
Well, as someone who is a parent, it absolutely changes things, how you comprehend things and how things make you feel. Absolutely.
There you go.
Those family dynamics, you look at them completely different when you're actually in them. So, to children or whatever. So it definitely does change it.
So it sounds to me like when he took him into the forest, Spider, and was contemplating killing him, that probably got you pretty hard.
Yes, but funny enough, I don't really care for Spider as a character, but that the power of that moment after the fact when he says, you know, that this isn't the way and they're not going to do that, and the Natiri comes and they have that moment, that's when I feel it. Not that I'm like, yay, Spider's still alive. It's like the moment that they have that realization, like, yes, this is actually the smart, logical choice, but we just can't do it because he's part of the family, you know? That
Right.
is what got me about it.
You know what's funny? Because I also am the actor Jack Champion, I think, is who plays Spider. I'm not into his performance ultimately, but I saw like a funny thing on, I forget what, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. It was showing a side by side, so like how we're split right here. So I would be the finished product, the movie, and then it's over on the right, on for my left, but I guess your right. I don't know how this is mirrored. On this side would be the as they're filming it kind of thing, and it was Jack Champion as Spider. He's the human, and then I think it's like I don't know if it was actually Sam Worthington. It should have been probably, and then it was like a giant like Avatar head or something, and it was like you see all the green stuff behind him and everything. It's not Pandora the way we see it in the finished product, and the tagline says, "Look." Something to the effect of, I'm not a fan of Jack Champion's performance either, but we got to cut him some slack because look what he's dealing with.
Yeah.
Like look what he has to work with kind of deal.
Yeah. He basically had to shoot everything, I think, 2 or 3 times.
It's funny.
And one of them, like, nobody was there. So it is definitely hard to act like that. And he was also young, you know, not that experienced. So you do got to cut him some slack. But I would agree. It's a weak performance.
But what's weird is I find Edward Furlong's performance in T2, man, he holds his own. I think he is incredible in that movie, considering how young he is. I know everyone finds his voice annoying and he's aging in real time, but like, I think that's an amazing performance. Going with Arnold Schwarzenegger, like you're paired with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and somehow he's not completely outshining you. Like you actually are kind of remaining leveled with him. So
yeah, there's a reason why he got cast. He was good.
And total unknown. I would actually believe, like, I would like to think Jack Champion has some more experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was older than Furlong was in T2. There's a thing with kids is like they can get away with not being that great because they're just being kids. When they start becoming a little bit more aware of what they're doing, that's when they're bad performance. Like, the Phantom Menace, you know, Jack Lloyd, is that his name?
Yeah, the kid from Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, which he did a better performance in Jingle All the Way, and that was terrible too. But yeah,
I want the Turbo Man with the 20 eye.
That's an example.
I believe that performance. I believe that one.
He was a kid, but he was also terrible. It's like, I don't know what happened there, but generally they can get away with it, except for the Phantom Menace.
Although I didn't believe that he didn't know that his dad was Turbo Man at the end. That I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's the voice is the most obvious. Turbo Man.
And then he takes the stupid helmet off. Dad? It's like, come on, are you kidding me?
And also he smiles and you see the Schwarzenegger.
You see the giant gap.
It's just the most obvious thing.
Yeah. Man, I wish my dad could be here to see this. Well, he is. Dad?
It's one step up from the Clark Kent. Just remove the glasses. Oh
True.
my God.
True. At least the Turbo Man thing was like, it was kind of tinted.
That's what he should have done. Just leave the helmet on and just raise that little visor. Dad?
Oh, man.
Well, that's the whole gamut. And 2.5 hours we're at now. And it doesn't even feel like it. That is crazy.
We are approaching Titanic length.
Way more compelling than that movie, this podcast.
No, that's the power of, I call him Cammy. That's the power of Cammy. He, I can talk about this guy. You know what? I hope I never get sick of talking about James Cameron. Like, I really hope I never do. And I don't think I will, but I really hope I never do.
You'll start getting that question. So why is this called James Cameron 101? Oh, God, I don't want to talk
Dear
about
God,
it.
can you just please go watch Off the Couch?
Well, I think we should close it with this. and it's probably a question that can't be answered, but I just want to know what you think about it. Why do you think James Cameron is so successful?
Yeah, I guess that was the topic of, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
topic of this whole thing. Why is James Cameron successful? Well, let me and I say this with all the best intentions, very funny, poking fun, but also kind of dead ass serious. First of all, he's a white guy. I mean, I'm just being real here. Like, can we look at the top 5 direct? Like, it's there is an argument to be made, and it's not audience's fault. I think it's Hollywood's fault. I think it's, and also I just want to make sure I mention this. I would love a time in our life where we talk about, when we talk about greatest filmmakers, actually like talking about female directors, because they are almost never ever included in there. And again, it's a Hollywood problem. It's a filmmaker problem. But I think there's some arguments to be made. Like the likes of Catherine Bigelow. She's, I think, probably top tier. Greta Gerwig. I'm a big fan of Greta Gerwig. Ava DuVernay. All these people. I hope there's a time where they're included in those lists, because honestly, I'm kind of getting sick and tired of talking about white males. It's so sad that that's the time we live in, where who's the greatest filmmaker of all time? This white male, this white male, this white male, this white male. It's like, come on, there's got to be more diversity in here. So I just want
Yeah.
to say that. I just wanted to say that. But he's so successful because he's a white male. He makes very, very simple stories. They're incredibly easy to follow. They're not Nolan level, where they're jumping back and forth and time is confused. And the most confusing thing about James Cameron's movies is, how does the time travel in Terminator work? That's it. That's the most confusing thing. We didn't even talk about it, but that's another conversation. So he makes very simple stories that appeal to mass audiences, and he keeps them, for the most part, relatively PG-13 or below, which opens up box office. Avatar, or Terminator 2, I think and then True Lies are his only rated R movies outside of Piranha. Everything else is PG-13. Oh, and then Aliens. But the big ones, the ones that are the billions, they're all the PG-13 movies. So that's why, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that is a great explanation of it. There really is no clear example, but when you just look at how many times he's made an iconic movie that was successful, for whatever reason, or he has some kind of understanding that most closely relates to the world of people, or the most number of people. Like, he knows how to create something that will enter the majority of the humans on this planet, their mind, and for them to enjoy it. He has a better understanding of that than most filmmakers, which is why he has the record he has. I don't know why that is, but he just has it, because it's not a fluke. With how many times it's happened, you can't say that. He clearly has that. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's AWA. I don't know. Maybe he wrote that down. He's like, I am AWA. I don't know. And we're all connecting to the spirit tree, and he freaking, I don't know. This, it's unexplained. I don't know why. I just know that he somehow knows how most people can connect to movies, and he just does it.
He also releases his movies in 3D, which increases ticket prices.
There's that, but I think if he never did that, it wouldn't change. I mean, the final number, I guess, but like how impactful that is and how many people go see it, I don't think 3D has any impact on that. Yeah. He also has made 2 movies, Titanic and Avatar, totally unrelated, and he made people show up the world essentially 2 different times and made those the most successful of all time. So it's not a genre thing. although he does genre really well. So it has to be in how he structures a story and how he casts, because that's all down to the director, obviously with the help of casting directors and whatever, but he's the final call. So the way he's structured and written stories and characters and then casted them, he's done it more times than to just be, oh, you know, he got lucky on this one. He just knows what the fuck he's doing. I mean, that's, I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know how he does, but he does.
But this next one, assuming it's Ghost of Hiroshima, I think this will be the. I think this could be a real good litmus test, if that's the right test I'm thinking of. Litmus
Yeah,
test.
right. If he can do that with a story about that.
If he can make a $1 billion movie about the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and I've heard him talk a little bit about it, how he's like, I don't even know if people are gonna come to this because it's gonna be intense. If he can do that, then I think it's a clear cut. But I don't know if it's Ghost of Hiroshima, and we'll even say it's in 3D. I don't know that he's pulling another $1 billion movie. He pulled the $1 billion because it's Avatar. Avatar 1, 2, and 3. It all made sense but every single one, right, was a diminishing return at some point, right? So you look at the first Avatar, it's like a 2.9, you said yesterday, 2.9 billion or something. Avatar 2 is a little lesser, and then Avatar 3 is even lesser. So the fatigue is wearing out on Avatar. Now, this next one is the real litmus test. Can he do it again? If he can, he's still the greatest of all time. If he can't, he's still the greatest of all time. But I'm really curious. And it sounds like Ghost of Hiroshima will be rated R. So that's going to be really interesting. Can he do what Joker did, be like this rated R movie and still somehow make $1 billion? That'll be really fascinating. That'll be a nice conversation to have as well. We'll see, man. But he keeps it simple. He keeps it to where foreign audiences don't really even need to turn on their subtitles if they don't want to. They can just enjoy the banshees flying around and the bright blues. That's why he's successful.
Yeah, he knows how to boil a story down to simple terms that everyone just gets.
And it works for me because I'll tell you, I can watch a complicated movie. I can watch a Nolan movie, but man, they're just not movies I want to really go back and watch again because I don't want to think too hard. I love okay, boy and girl meet on a ship and now the ship hits a iceberg. Now what are we going to do? Okay, I can kind of relate to that.
Very true. But there is something pointing to a movie like that being successful, and that's Oppenheimer. It's a movie about literally the creation of those bombs.
But why did that also do successful? Barbenheimer.
Yeah, Barbie. And it's also Christopher Nolan, who has his own, it's Christopher Nolan. We got to go see it. James Cameron has that too. But I think all these factors, plus the fact that it's, the headline, James Cameron's, next non-Avatar film. People are going to be very curious. They're going to want to see it. The key would be, I think, the critical consensus. If critics come out and say, like, this is, Cameron's best film in 20 years, and all that stuff will drive people to go see it. And I think another event like Barbenheimer would happen. Maybe just on his movie.
And I'm just checking. It did not like Oppenheimer because I was confused. I know Barbie hit $1 billion. Oppenheimer barely hit $1 billion. It's 976 million. So it almost got to the $1 billion mark, but I don't even think.
Not $1 billion. Get that shit out of here.
I don't think it would have had those numbers if Barbie hadn't come out. I don't think it would have.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely piggybacked off
Barbie.
that. But yeah, it's just a sign that it is possible for a movie like that. And even, what is Cameron also known for? Like making action films, or like not just, every film he does has action in it. Like Titanic is a movie about a ship sinking, but there's like action and it's exciting. Like he knows how to do that really well. So he can make a movie that sounds like, is that even, he can do that in an exciting way that you could argue that nobody else can do it like. So I don't doubt him.
I'm looking forward to an extended T2 nuclear nightmare scene just in a full length movie. I'm looking forward to that. And I want it to be emotional, and I want to, you know, I want to walk out of that movie going, Jesus, that might be better than Titanic. They're both true stories. Which one do I think is better? That's my ultimate goal. That's what I want to feel when I see that movie. And hopefully that's the next one. I would hate to think that his next movie is going to be another Avatar movie or just something that we haven't even heard about yet. And I'm just not that interested into it. I'm very intrigued by Ghost of Hiroshima. So
same. I hope he has a long career of, I guess, what's the most we can expect? 30 years ahead of him.
30 years, yeah.
And then he doesn't make 3 films like he has the last 30 years. You know, amp that up a little bit. I think you can improve your output. But yeah.
And my last point, I just wanted to shake up. It's just a very nitpicky thing, and I said nit on purpose. I'm just kind of sick and tired of looking at his filmography, and the only 2 letters I see are T and A. I need a G in there somewhere, please, dear God. Don't give me another T or another A for a movie. I'm sick and tired of it.
Yes, I actually would hope that he makes fit that film he wants to do before Avatar 4 and 5, then go back to it. Then if you have anything left in the tank, make another original. That's how I think it should go.
Yeah.
Because that way we get the original, we get to see what that's like, and then maybe going back into Avatar, that'll actually improve it because he's made something else.
Right.
You know, maybe he gets that fire again to, I don't know, make Avatar even better.
Yep. But even if he were, like we talked about earlier, even if he were to die tomorrow, he, I think, has, between the 2 of us at least, he has solidified himself as the greatest filmmaker of all time. And yeah, it's definitely not Hitchcock, is it?
Without a doubt. And he also has, I don't think anyone will beat that record, 4 consecutive billion-dollar films, because the next closest person, they already made a movie that wasn't a billion, so their record starts over.
Yep.
I don't think anyone else is going to hit that record.
Because that's that Netflix movie, isn't it?
Yeah, the Russo bros, they made the 2 Avengers movies, and then they made a movie for Netflix. It didn't get anywhere near that, so their record's gone.
Well, that just kind of immediately, because did it get a theatrical release? It doesn't, like if it goes on Netflix, it just kind of kills that chance anyway, right? Because there's no box office total for that.
Let me
all.
see. But either way, like that's what they chose to do. They didn't have to do that. So bros.
Yeah, so they weren't even thinking about this. They weren't thinking, all right, we gotta try to top Cameron.
I mean, I don't even think Cameron was thinking that. It just happened. What?
Right? It was like that Millie Bobby Brown thing.
The robot, the Electric State, I think
is that what I'm thinking of? Yeah.
I think so.
Right? Millie Bobby Brown's in there.
So yeah, what's her bros?
Chris, what the hell's his name? Chris. Filmography. The hell's his name? Chris. He's married to Schwarzenegger's daughter.
Oh, Pratt. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Pratt. Yeah. That guy.
What do you think of Pratt?
What do I think of Pratt?
Uh-huh.
Well, we haven't talked about it. My favorite movie of all time isn't even a Cameron movie. It's from Spike Jonze, and it's called Her from 2013 with Joaquin Phoenix. I think that's Chris Pratt's best performance because he has a small little role in that movie. And every time I watch it, I always forget he's in there. And I'm like, oh, dude, Chris Pratt's in here. Yeah, I'm just not on the Pratt train, really. I don't know what the hoopla is about him. Hoopla. But I do find it really cool that he's technically a Schwarzenegger now. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I go see a film because he's in it, but I like him. But I do see why people can get annoyed or just don't care. I don't know if you saw The Terminal List, but I think that was a great show, but also he was great in it. And it's not he tends to play like kind of a goofy, funny guy. Not like Ryan Reynolds, like to a lesser degree, but Terminal List, he's not funny at all. It's like completely serious, and I don't know. He does a really good job on that, I think.
Did you see Mercy? Ugh.
No, I didn't.
That AI judge movie where he's strapped to the chair for 90 minutes.
That premise did not interest me at all.
Dude.
But yeah, I haven't seen it. So I got the record here. It's Endgame, Infinity War, Civil War, $3 billion movies. Then they made, I think, The Electric State or whatever movie that was, and that ruined the record. And then their next highest grossing movie is The Winter Soldier, 714 million worldwide. So their consecutive record, they got close, 3, but of course they're all Marvel movies, which very, that helps it a lot. So they can't do it again. They have to restart that record.
Yeah, and not to take anything away, I am not an MCU guy at all. I've seen maybe 1 or 2 of those movies. They're just not impressive to me at all. And but not to take anything away from them, they're just not even in the consideration for me. Greatest filmmakers of all time. I would actually say Phil Lord and Chris Miller are better, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, just based on Project Hail Mary alone, I mean, the Russell Bros have tried to make. I mean, they also make tons of big budget stuff, but they've tried to dial it down a little bit, and it's. They didn't pop out a Project Hail Mary, so there you go.
Yeah.
But having said that, 2 hours, 45 minutes. I think we're Cameroned out for the day.
But this was a lot of fun, man. Thank you for inviting me on. And I'm glad we were able to make it happen. It was looking like maybe you were like, I was thinking you might be like, all right, we got to reschedule this because I can't figure out how this Streamlabs works. But
it came close. I really didn't want to do that, but it worked out at the end of the day. And your suggestion helped that, because if you didn't say that, I probably would have done that. Like, oh God, I'll just try to, But then you're like, hey, try this out, and it worked. So this was, really great. Thank you again, and thank you for even making this episode possible, since it really backfired in my face. And having said that, I think you have a calling card.
I do. So that's how we're wrapping it up. We're gonna wrap it with that.
You can wrap that up. Then I'll go on the screen, full screen, do my little thing, and then we'll call it out. And then if you want to stick around for like 5 minutes or not.
All right, dude. Thank you so much once again, everybody who's checking this live replay. However you're checking it, thank you for watching, and hopefully it's been entertaining, enlightening, informative. And until then, I see you again. Go watch a Cameron film.
All right. I will be watching a Cameron film right after this. I wish I had that cool. I don't have any of my setup here. No music, no nothing. So just kind of say the thing and then next screen. Apologize about that. I'll try to get this figured out, or I don't know. I got to adapt to this new thing, but thank you for joining or watching this later whenever you did. This was an epic discussion about James Cameron, from Eddie, who made one of the best podcasts of all time, just because it's about James Cameron. Continue to watch that, whatever he does. I certainly will. I can't wait to see what comes from that. I hope more reunions, like I mentioned. And I hope we can definitely do more things, whether it's on his channel, Fans of Something, JamesCameron101 podcast, or on here, because I loved this conversation. And even though it's been 3 hours, I don't want it to end. I'm ending it for you because I think you guys need to go do something else now. But thank you for watching this. If you've been here the whole time, God bless you, because I don't even know if I could do that. But until next time, it's time for me to get off the couch. And I don't have an intro. Bye-bye. It's not ending because I don't know what I'm doing. End stream.